to do the same. Last 2 runs of the night. He's going to take it to the podium, but will he take the win? Look at this.
Hello everybody and welcome to the final round of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. My name is Dave Egan. I'm joined in the virtual studio, by my good friend and colleague Ian Waddington. Ian, we love the knockout stages of every competition, but nothing compares to the final. We are here, the best 32 from our 4 preliminary rounds, but we whittled them down to 32 drivers, the top 8 from each round. One of these guys is going to become the first ever Drift Masters Virtual Champion. They're going to get to drive Peter Wieniecek's FD spec, Drift Master spec, Worthouse Drift S15. Big prize on the line, Ian, and we're excited to get this one started.
We certainly are, Dave, and as you said, we have whittled these drivers down to this point. This is it, head to head, no messing around. No Drift Masters drivers in this round, just our virtual drifters going head to head for a chance to win, to drive that S15 of Peter Wieniecek's. I'm very, very excited about this. We've watched some of these guys make their way through the ranks. There's some big names in there, some guys that we never even heard of before make a statement and win some of these events. I'm excited, Dave.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ian. I'm going to say something that has never once been said before in the history of drifting. Is that a big statement?
I mean, go on.
So, you might say, where would we be hosting this final round of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship? Are we going to host it in maybe Riga? Maybe we'll go to Torun or Płock, something like that. No, this is the virtual world, so we're going to use our imagination. The final round of this championship is going to be held, wait for it, on an aircraft carrier. And that is exactly what is happening right now. I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth. But we have built a custom circuit on an aircraft carrier. I'm not even sure which aircraft carrier, which allegiance it has to which country. It doesn't matter. I think the Drift Masters Virtual Championship guys bought one in the virtual world and have made it into a full-on race circuit. And that is where our final is going to be decided. A street circuit. It's got plenty of walls, plenty of outer and inner clips, a nice little tight roundabout to finish, Ian. Going to be very challenging and very exciting to watch. We don't know what to expect.
Well, I mean, Dave, if you're going to go over a bang, there's one place that the bangs happen, and that is on an aircraft carrier. Look at this for a track. I mean, they have knocked it out of the park all season. Every single round has been spectacular. Some incredible tracks, some very tight technical tracks. And this one, from what we've seen in practice, is very, very good. As you said, some fast flowing outside zones, nice technical bit in the centre, and then a roundabout, just as Drift Masters like it. A roundabout in there to mix things up. Back across the track to the finish line. This one's got it all, Dave.
Absolutely. And will the drivers be bringing out the big guns, or will they be found all at sea? I promise this will not be the last pun you hear from me regarding this aircraft carrier. But it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We're going to have fun. 32 drivers have done qualifying already today. We're going to go straight into the battles. But our first driver, Tikon Pilecki, he has got a bye run as the top qualifier, meaning he's going straight into that top 16. But again, it doesn't really matter what happens from here, Ian, because it's winner takes all. One guy or girl is going to be the winner at the end of this. They're going to be the first ever Drift Masters Virtual Champion. They're making history, and they're going to be driving a car that they've watched across the globe compete. Everything to play for.
They certainly have, Dave. As you can see here now, the qualifying results up on screen while the rest of the guys get some practice in the background. And as you said, Tikon Pilecki taking that top spot in qualifying, a 94.5. And Reese Tatterson, one of those names that snuck in out of nowhere, that Pro Drift Academy driver, in second place. We move it along. Jakobsen down there in 27th. Some tough scores. The man from the UK, Sam Sheffield, 59 in qualifying, 30th place, just scraped in there in that top 32. There's some big names, Dave, some heavy hitters, and this is all to play for that one important, massive prize. I mean, I just wish that I could have a go in that car, Dave.
Absolutely. I think me and you would be even more dangerous than these guys behind the wheel of that car, Ian. What I love about this is that you can see the guys getting their last moments of practice in here. It's a very fast, fluid track, all walls. Touch those walls in the real world, and you might get away with it. The back end of most drift cars has a little bit of flex, Ian, but as we found out, they do not have as much flex in the virtual world. You've got to be pinpoint accurate to get away with some crazy moves on the wall here. We've got some of the best guys in the virtual world. These guys have been putting in hours, days, nights, everything. They probably haven't eaten in 3 days, Ian, because they've been practicing so hard for this moment. For guys, this is a big, big step. And I think this is going to be a very worthy winner at the end of this. We've seen amazing talent come through from the first round. But if we're going to finish it and finish it in style on an aircraft carrier, I can't wait for this to kick off.
I can't, Dave, and I think tonight we're gonna answer that question. The age-old question is the virtual world better than the real world? We're about to find out. It's cost him nothing to get this far. Tikhon Pilecki sits in that lead position. Our first place qualifier does have a bye run into the top 16. You can see there underneath that Budmat start line. He'll be setting off proceedings here this evening at the final round of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship.
Absolutely. Good thing you said, Ian, that didn't cost him a whole lot, because can you imagine the logistics of getting your car to an aircraft carrier in the middle of the sea? This event will be taking place in international waters, meaning anything goes. And our first driver, Pilecki, takes to the track. Give us a nice little view here for you guys joining us on the live stream of what this circuit is all about. Very long outside first two clips on a wall. Then it's a tuck in of the nose into that inside clip. Keep the power down, very fluid. Another switchback, very dangerous point here. You can see Pilecki absolutely nailing it. And then another very sharp transition and slowing into that last roundabout section. It's going to be very technically and easy to make mistakes. 1 inch too far on any of those transitions, you're in the wall and your run is over.
Exactly that, Dave, and just like that, you can see why Pilecki got that first place qualifying spot. He was pinpoint perfect there, rear of that car on the wall the whole way round, nailed those clipping points and on that perfect judge line. But now it's time to get to the business. This is it, the first battle of our top 32. One of these guys will head into top 16 and step closer to driving Peter Vincek's S15.
Absolutely, here we go. It is going to be Cosmo and Petrov into the Petrov changing up from that 180 into the S14 for this round. Cosmo in the lead position at the moment, representing Norway. Nice job from both of these drivers so far. Perfect transition in the chase position from Petrov, and take your eyes off it and you're going to miss it, because it's a very tight track. And look at that, a little bit of a mistake from Petrov. Got too close in the chase position but managed to make it work, Ian. That was a lot of fury from the chase driver there, Christian Petrov from Bulgaria, putting the pressure on the Norwegian driver. And I love this initiation. It's absolutely insane. Running that rear end along the wall. As you can see, Petrov sacrificing a little bit of line, gets close, does a good job of slowing that car down. And he's actually perfect through into that inside clip. Now as they transition back, watch the transitioning, absolutely spot on. But as they come through here, it's actually a mistake from the lead driver. On a second viewing, Cosmo hits the wall, straightens up, causes Petrov to have a mistake in the chase position. I think that's going to be Petrov with the advantage. Yeah,
I think you're right there, Dave, and hard to see on that first view of that mistake, but yeah, tagged the wall, stalled the car up and made that transition very, very tricky. With sort of around time for Petrov and now to lead out Cosmo. And not sure, so lights go out. Guys waited for that one. Here we go, we are good to go. Spot in the top 16 awaits. Oh, and it's false start again.
Yeah, just a little bit of nerves maybe creeping in. A little guys getting a little bit of a jump start. Our marshals are saying from one of the drivers. They're anxious to get out there. They're on an aircraft carrier. There's a lot of smoke going off beside them. You can get nervous out there. And the traffic lights are waiting, and they're getting back on the start line again here, as you guys can see. Just making sure the start line is working absolutely perfectly. Both drivers just making sure that the fair start off the line. And it is going to be Petrov in the lead position. He's got the advantage from the chase position. Can he double down now and get himself into it? Oh, and it looks like he has disappeared from the face of the earth. So that's not going to help his chances, Ian.
No, it's certainly not, Dave. Not sure what's happening there. Maybe some issues. We've seen this in the past, Dave. And, you know, I never considered that technical or car issues could be a problem in the virtual world. But apparently it is common.
Yeah. Oh, so there you go. There was three mistakes from Petrov on the start line. I think that might have been technical issues from Petrov. Just couldn't get off the line and hands the win to Cosmo, which is a little bit of an unusual one. We haven't seen that before, but to get 3 chances to leave the line. Looks like he had internet issues. And we move on to our next battle, which will see Ireland versus Portugal. Meehan will be Brandon Meehan, going up against Luciano Carneiro. And here we go.
Yeah, Meehan to chase it down. Carneiro right now, nice initiation. Oh, up into the door he goes, but stalls up ever so slightly. Meehan just giving Carneiro some room to manoeuvre. You can see him nosing the front end of that 180SX onto the door. Nice transition back now. Time to get the back bumper onto the wall. And he does. Carneiro, nice lead line at the moment. Oh, wow. Brave transition from Meehan then as he almost takes the back end off that S13. Pushing wheel to wheel. Oh, a little tag on the front wheel from Meehan as they cross the line.
Well, that was a pretty heavy battle. I mean, it was one of the quick shout out to one of our sponsors here, All In Games, giving away an Xbox to Dominic Dehaney on our social media platform. And with him right now, it's the real deal on the virtual championship. And I like this because with 2 very similar chassis, 2 very similar driving styles. You watch both of these guys be exceptionally good in the knockout rounds. And right now they're putting it to it. Not much in that one, Ian. I think that's probably even Stevens by the end of it. If not, a little bit of an advantage maybe to Meehan for that aggressive chase.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Meehan, the aggressive chase, but made a few mistakes there. Tags on the front wheel, swap him around. Meehan now to lead out Carneo to give chase. Can Carneo keep a nice clean chase behind Meehan as they come down that start straight, looking for a clean initiation, bumper to bumper, up onto the wall they go as Meehan now full throttle into their outside zone. But Carneo very, very straight, nudges the front end of Meehan's S13. They transition back onto the outside zone, and Meehan now keeping his cool, foot flat to the floor, stalls up ever so slightly on the transition, but that opens the door. Oh, and contact again from Canino. These two guys throwing punches at each other, left, right, and centre.
Very interesting battle there, Ian, because what I'm looking at is a couple of mistakes from both drivers. You watch the chase driver here, Carniero, and he's very straight, almost, you can see very little angle there, straightens up, hits the front end of Meehan's car, gets it tidied up, and I think at this point I'm thinking Meehan has this in the bag, but then watch as he comes out of this corner. Probably puts a little bit too much angle on and gets a little bit of a shunt for it. So Brendan Meehan does get the win and goes through. A couple of mistakes from both drivers, but it's a tough track out there, Ian. Both of these guys making some small errors, but the big errors were by the Portuguese driver.
Yeah, I think this track is going to show that you can be easily too over-aggressive and knock yourself out of a battle. We move it back to the start line. Craig Fulham now to take on Pomardier in that crazy McLaren-fronted GT86.
It's got to be done in the real world.
Someone has to do it.
Someone has to do it because it looks fantastic, and we've seen it here. We commented on the last time up against the big old Corvette of Craig Fulham. He was very impressive in our Riga round. Let's see how he gets on here. It's going to be Fulham to lead, Pomerad to chase. Pomerad puts it right in there on the door. Oh, bit of contact, and it may be too much contact. That looked to me like Pomerad from France put a little bit too much aggression on Craig Fulham in the lead position and caused the issue. That could be a 10-0. We'll have a little look at it in the replay, but that on initial look to me looked like he came in a little too hot.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there, Dave. And once again, over-aggression. I think it's so easy to get too aggressive on this track. Let's take a look back at the replay. Nice initiation there from Craig Fulham. And yeah, tags the rear wheel. That puts the front to the front. And we end up in a situation where it's a weird overtake.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll put it this way. The Corvette of Fulham was on throttle when the contact happened. So from my perspective, the judges are going to look at that and say, well, he was already accelerating. It wasn't that he slowed excessively. So I think they're going to put the blame maybe on Pomerad there. But let's see what happens on the chase run for Craig Fulham. Can he keep his nose clean here and get that Corvette into the top 16? Or will there be something left in the tank for Pomerad? I'm not too sure. Into the first corner they go. We've seen some big incidents here, and they get around it cleanly.
Yeah, look at this. Fulham nosing at the front end of that Corvette, in tagging wheels as they come down to transition to that other outside zone. Nice, but Fulham just goes a little bit too deep. Oh, and a crazy transition there for Pomerad, and he throws the battle away. Just like that, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what happened there. It's like he just let go of the steering wheel in anger at that point, maybe knowing he had a 10-0 from the first run. But yeah, so it looks like this one's going to sort itself out, Ian, and without the judges needing to do a whole lot, we have a driver that sort of has two 10-0s there as far as I'm. I mean, there was some contact by Fulham. He was, not perfect here on the transition, goes a little bit too much angle. It's actually a little bit too much angle even from the lead car. But then watch this, he just kind of pulls away from the track. So that could be a technical issue. Could be something broke on the steering wheel or the pedals or something. I'm sure we'll find out later on, but it looks to me like this will be quite an obvious decision from the judges.
I mean, I just wish that I could. So, here we go. Decision is in. And there we go, yeah. Fulham gets the win, advances through into the top 16.
These are sorting themselves out, Ian. It's the pressure of this big final getting to these guys who are very cool in the knockouts, now not looking so cool. We're going to take a small break with a word from some of our partners. We're back with more action from the Drift Masters Virtual Championship in a few moments' time. And we are back here at round 5, but it's round final. The final round of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. We're on an aircraft carrier, Ian. Does it make sense? It doesn't have to make sense. We ran the top 32. We've had some pretty, I would say, intense battles so far. We've had a lot of guys, a little bit of contact. We've had a bit of crashing into the wall. We may have even had some internet lag sort some of these battles out. I don't think the judges have been really tested so far.
Yeah, I mean, does it make sense, Dave? No, but like you say, this is the virtual world of drifting, and this is what we've come to learn now. Anything can happen and anything will happen. And, from what I've learned so far in the first couple of battles in this top 32 is the over-aggression, once again, is going to pay dividends to how your day plays out. Some of these guys pushing just a little bit too hard, causing damage, putting themselves and knocking themselves out of battle.
When you think about it, everyone here knows that their opponent has got through an entire event to qualify for this event, the final, which means that they've got a lot of talent. So everybody is probably overestimating how much they have to do in the chase position to win the battle. What they're doing is they are overly pushing themselves and they're getting themselves knocked out of competition. We've watched a couple of guys make very unforced errors. And I think that's going to be the story of this entire top 32. It's not just about talent. I mean, I don't think this course, particularly as unique as it is that challenging for these guys. But managing that aggression, how close do you go to win the battle, how much is too close and you lose the battle? I think that's going to be the big question they're going to be asking themselves and asking of the judges for the next hour or so.
I think that's right, Dave. I think that is exactly right. I think you just need to balance. It's a fine line, and getting that completely right is going to be difficult. And the person that can do that the best today is going to find themselves in the final, battling for a chance to drive Peter Vincek's incredible Worthhouse S15.
Well, that's the thing, and I mean, we've watched it from the start that, if you watch just right here, it looks to me like a lot of these battles, guys are almost stopping, starting, doing those big lunges and dives, and it's not a very big course, so you can get yourself caught in the middle, almost at a snail's pace chasing, but the judges don't want to see that. They want to see that chase car stay wide, stay out to the outside zones, and that's going to be a tough balance to play. Yeah,
certainly, and again, we've noticed it today already. Internet lag and technical failures from your sim rig can knock you out of battle, which I never really considered up until the first time we experienced it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you got to remember this entire production of this championship, probably over 20 or 25, well, in this particular case, with all of the drivers that are online right now, you're talking maybe 40, 50 people online at the one time, and all of those internet connections have to work in order to get us to the final. So we're moving on to our next battle. It's going to be from the USA. Jarbo taking on Zach O'Sullivan from the USA. An all-USA battle on an aircraft carrier. Could it be more perfect, Ian? Here we go.
Here we go, Dave, and fires in. It does. O'Sullivan, nice job in that lead position. It looked like he didn't get as far out to the outside zone as what we'd like to have seen, but Jarbo doing an incredible job in that chase right now. Perfectly timed transition, gives him some room to manoeuvre though, lets the door open up. This is the point to attack as he fires down that Mazda RX-7 on the inside, gets up close and personal on Sullivan as they come across the line. Incredible job in the chase.
That is an incredible job in the chase, considering, as you said, O'Sullivan could have been a little bit wider, gets that first clip right, but the line here just gets out there. From my perspective, Ian, as a watching fan of this, I find it incredible, these guys, how we criticize them for something that is incredibly difficult to do all the time. We go, that's not perfect, could have been this, could have been that. It is just as difficult in this virtual world to be on the door as it is in the real world. Sometimes it can even be more difficult because that sensation of speed or feeling of grip is devoid from any simulator. So you've got to really play to your strengths here, and I think that was a good job by Jarbo. I think he's going to carry an advantage here. Let's see if O'Sullivan in the chase position can bring the heat.
Here we go, Jarbo to lead, O'Sullivan to give chase. Nice flick in that Mazda RX-7. Oh, a little tag on the wall that upset the balance of the car. They give O'Sullivan a chance to look again at the side of that Mazda. Now he starts to creep up on the inside through that front clipping point, and again a nicely timed transition. Oh, into the wall, both drivers go, and that's completely upsets O'Sullivan. He's had to touch the side of that Mazda RX-7 as they both get into it in the roundabout. O'Sullivan looking to climb back up onto the side of Jarbo. Incredible job.
I think they're going to, I mean, if I was a judge there, you're probably going to reward O'Sullivan. He's had to deal with 2 hits. You see the RX-7 hit the wall there. O'Sullivan has to kind of back off a little bit, not sure what's going to happen. And then a bigger one at the last roundabout. And for, in these situations where both drivers hit the wall, like just about here, they always kind of lean on the, the chase driver getting the advantage there because the lead driver is not making it as easy. So let's see if that's the way it goes, and indeed it is the way it goes. I'm on fire tonight, Ian. O'Sullivan goes through to the top 16, and we're all in a nice little cohesiveness between our commentary and the judging tonight. That's great.
Yeah, we've finally got the balance dialed in the final round, Dave.
It only took us like 100 battles and 5 rounds, so we've done really well with that. I pat on the back for me and you, Ian. And of course, we're going to get plenty wrong by the end of tonight. So we move on to our next battle. It is going to be Stanislav going up against Ramazzotti. Ramazzotti in our last round looking pretty good. And here we go into the first corner we go. Oh, big dive in from Ramazzotti in the chase position in the RX-7. And Kirichenko in that lead position, looking very strong.
Oh.
Big contact there, and another big incident. And it's more destruction derby than drifting right now, Ian.
Yeah, very, very hard to balance the middle of that circuit. And these guys struggling really to find the fine line on that transition of when to dive, when not to dive. Kirichenko in that chase position in that Mazda RX-7. These guys not making it easy for us, Dave. Switching up their cars halfway through the year. And Ramazzotti in that lead. You can see that transition. Just got it wrong there for Kirichenko. Tapped him on the rear wheel, and that was when the contact happened into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, so easy. It happens so quickly, especially on those transitions, because you're going from a wall to a wall on 2 different arcs. So let's see how it goes. It is going to be Ramazzotti now in the chase position. I think I got that mixed up on the first one. Ramazzotti, I think, in that S15. They've obviously changed their car since the last round, Ian, to make it just that even easier for us.
Yeah, they think that they've got it too easy, these guys. So we'll just swap the cars and the liveries and make it really, really difficult for them.
Exactly. So it looks like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ramazzotti will be in the chase position.
Yeah, Kirichenko to lead.
Yes. So the advantage at the moment, I think, with Ramazzotti, if I'm not mistaken, from the first round. So let's see what happens here on the second heat as they fire through the gears down the aircraft carrier, hopefully not end up in the sea and end up in the wall, and a big angle entry from Kirichenko, looking pretty good. Ramazzotti got to manage his aggression, as we mentioned earlier on. He's doing a good job here, but lost a bit of ground. We'd like to see him a lot closer, but look at that angle from the lead driver. How did he get away with that angle? And he's actually almost like the red flag to a bull has put the chase car into the wall, because that was absolutely insane.
That was incredible angle on that transition. How did he even manage to pull that off? Let's take a look back at this one.
I thought it was just a crash. I was pretty sure he was just going to crash into the wall. And watch the chase driver. He's trying to pick up some speed across the aircraft carrier, and he goes in way too hot. Watch this transition. Absolutely 90 degrees on the wall. Gets away with it. And the chase car goes in the wall. And that means we've got to one more time. So we've got mistakes from both drivers on both runs, Ian. We're going to have to see this one go again.
Well, the good thing about the virtual world is, Dave, no tyres and fuel needed. Straight back to the line and ready for action.
Yeah, you don't catch your breath too quickly in this game.
So here we go.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what happens next? More crashes or smoother driving? I'm not sure.
Well, normally we've seen crashes, but these guys have felt each other out. I think they've got the crashes out of the way. So we'll see what happens this time. Kirichenko to chase down Ramazzotti onto the back bumper. He goes into the wheel, and contact already in the first corner, and again into the wall. These guys are not messing around. This is like a destruction derby. They make their way across the centre of the aircraft hangar. Backwards into the wall, and it is all falling apart right now for Kirichenko.
I'm actually laughing,
and this is
it's absolutely insane. Like, in the chase position, pulling a backwards entry onto a wall in an aircraft carrier. Like, that sentence shouldn't exist.
But it does, Dave, and it is happening right now. Look at this, contact already. As soon as they got out of the outside zone, that put Ramazzotti into the wall, into the outside zone. This is making the job really hard for the judges. I think that mistake there for Kirichenko kind of sealed the deal in the first half of the run.
I'm inclined to agree, and I think you've got to give a 10-0 there to Ramazzotti, simply because, you don't need to be pulling backwards entries into the wall in the chase position, and it didn't work out there at all for Kirichenko. So, but then again, we could get another 10-0 reversal here like we did on the first set of battles. So anything, these two guys are bringing the fireworks tonight.
They certainly are. Wow, very fast initiation there for Kirichenko as he gets up on the wall. Nicely done this time. Very, very cool, calm and collected. Could we have a clean battle finally between these two guys? Big dive up onto the wall, just about pulls it off. He was 90 degrees to the wall in that lead position. Chase driver Ramazzotti now getting into it. Up onto the door he goes, just getting front end of the S15 onto the door.
Someone needs to have a word with this guy and say he doesn't. It's not. Did he listen to the briefing? He doesn't have to do a backwards entry onto the wall, because he's done it every run, and he got away with it in that one, Ian. But it's absolutely sensational. Look at this transition. Full backwards onto the wall, gets away with it. But I don't think he's going to get away with it in the long run. It is going to be the Brazilian Ramazzotti going through to the top 16. I'm in agreement with that one, Ian. I think the big crash from Kirichenko on the first half of the battle is going to seal the deal there.
Exactly that, Dave.
Supras and a BMW fronted S15, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, just to make things more difficult. Hey, that's a Supra fronted Supra. That's interesting in this championship. So you've got Matai from Romania going up against the Lithuanian of Jurkas. Jurkas is going to be in the chase position. Two guys we really enjoyed watching in the build up to this in the knockout stages of the other rounds, and here we go.
Yeah, Matai have been very, very strong, but so has Jurkas. Jurkas, look at this, very cool, calm and collected, balanced that S14 perfectly on the side of Jurkas' Supra. Nice transition through the centre of the circuit, tidy job in the outside zone from Matai and that Supra. This is very, very nice line driving from Matai as he uses that S15 E46 onto the door. Incredible stuff.
Would that technically be an S15.6? Is that what we would call that? Yeah, you can see great. You're absolutely right, Ian, and I very rarely agree with you, but Matai is a phenomenal line driver. Like, he's absolutely done exactly what the judges need to do. And what I like about Jurkas' chase is he's very managed in his pace. He's not diving and lunging forward and hitting the brakes. He may not be out as wide as some of the judges would like to see in the chase position, but he's very close the whole way through the course. And doesn't look like he's out of control at any point. Doesn't look like he's taking big risks. And I think that might be the clever way to do this track.
Yeah, keep the focus in check and just try and drive cleanly. Well, we swapped them around. Here we go. Jurkas to lead, Matai to give chase. Matai onto the back bumper of that S15. A nice initiation from both those guys as they come down to that second outside zone. Oh, what a mistake from Jurkas as he tags the wall. That upsets his line. Matai stays in it though, keeps on that qualifying line as now Jurkas fires into the outside zone. Matai looks for the side of that S14 BMW one more time as a big lunge from Matai as he pushes the Supra onto the door.
Yeah, I've got to say it, my vote is with Matai, and up until then I didn't think there was any shaking Jurkas, but at the end of this first corner he just stays in this zone way too deep. He comes in at a weird angle to it, sort of gets there very late, and the corner sort of closed up. Then he misses the inside zone, and Matai, while he hasn't got the perfect chase run, he's not chasing the perfect lead run, which means he's going to take the win here, I think. Oh, it's a one more time from David, but it is in the end a win for Matai from Romania, and he goes through to the top 16. I'm in agreement with that one. David Callis, had a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in Jurkas, but I think Jurkas' mistake was pretty big.
So there we go. Matai and that Supra makes his way through, moving along. Serviek to take on Saad.
If I'm not mistaken, Ian, this guy, Serviek, was the big deal at round 3, if I'm not mistaken. He absolutely dominated everybody there. And Saad looking very, very good. He wasn't too sad about being into the top 8 of his particular round. Two very capable drivers here trading blows. Look at that chase run from Serviek as he goes, the Ukrainian driver looking unstoppable. And the revving he's doing in that car as well in the chase position is absolutely insane. The throttle control, absolutely expert, and that's a bit of a domination of a chase run for me.
That was a textbook chase. Incredible stuff there, and a very, very nice lead from Saad there, qualified in 4th place. And look at this, absolutely dialed, very, very clean, and gave Serviek the opportunity to chase 110%. Look at these transitions. Incredible job, door to door, matches the angle, matches the speed, and the proximity is pinpoint perfect. Very, very good job.
You know what I've been noticing in that first corner with those two clipping zones? A lot of guys go into the first zone and sort of almost, straight line arrowing towards the second, and that wall closes up very quick. You got to get out earlier to that second clip. That's going to make it a lot easier for you. So let's see what happens here. As Serviek goes into the lead position, Saad in the chase position. Serviek going in very hot, staying out wide, and you see a little bit of a mess in the chase position from Saad, who just had to check up a little bit there. He's got it back online again now as a transition into that second corner. Onto the wall they go. Saad just using that brake light on to make the front brakes just to make sure he stays in the fight. That's a very clean second lead and chase from both of these guys. That's a tough one for the judges. I'm leaning a little bit towards Serviek on both runs, but that's just me. Just for the cleanliness, and watch this. Look how close he is to the wall. Gets out early to that wall, which means that he gets a nice arc into that last corner, and that's just where Saad had a little bit of trouble. Then again, from both runs, looking at them on the replay, Ian, both guys driving exceptionally well. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Dave. I'm kind of leaning to Serviek there. So clean in the lead and the chase, and Saad making a few mistakes in that chase position. I think that's the only way it could go. possibly a one more time, but for me, Severiak was a lot cleaner.
Yeah, Saudi Arabian driver will exit the competition at this stage, and it is going to be Severiak continuing his dominance. You know, he's a guy to watch here right throughout. He's a real danger on the grid, but Saad has been a really good competitor. We hate to see him leave at top 32 level. But anyway, we are moving on. We're getting through it. We're getting through our top 32. There's action, there's crashes, there's everything you could want from the final of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Don't go anywhere. Grab yourself a hot beverage. Sit down. We're back after these. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final round of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. My name is Dave Egan, joined in the virtual studio by my good friend Ian Waddington. Ian, we've been having a bit of an old slobber knocker of a top 32. There's been crashes, there's been door hits, there's been backwards entries, and it's all happening on an aircraft carrier on international waters. It can only be the virtual drift world, and we're having a blast so far.
We certainly are having a blast so far, Dave. And yeah, this has been a raw fist fight, because I tell you what, there is a big prize up for stakes, and one of these guys tonight is going to get the opportunity to do something that a lot of people want to do, and that is drive Peter Vinsek's incredible Worthhouse S15 at a DMEC event this year. So there's no wonder, Dave, that they're throwing jabs at each other left, right and centre, but there is a place and a time to do it, and some points of this circuit can be too much.
Yeah, I think it's those slowing areas, especially the transition across the aircraft carrier. I can't believe I actually am saying this out of my own mouth, but it's the transition from wall to wall. We've watched this on a couple of custom circuits in the past, that, you know, your arcs have to be 3 arcs that you got to get absolutely perfect on this course, and it's very, very difficult, especially with the speed. And as I said, you can see guys in the chase position, you know, losing a bit of ground, panicking a little bit, and making big mistakes. But let's see what happens from here. We move on to our next couple of drivers. It is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, it is going to be M&A against Sam Sheffield. Sam Sheffield in that S15. And a Saudi Arabian driver, M&A. Oh, what a big mistake from Sam Sheffield. But was there a little bit of slowing from the lead car? It looked to me like Sam Sheffield made that mistake a little bit unforced. Transitions back in. He's playing a bit of catch-up now, trying to get close as he can. But his angle isn't so great. And oh, he's had to back out again. That big GTR making that aircraft carrier look quite small out there, Ian.
Yeah, it certainly is, Dave. Yeah. Take a look back at the replay of this. Mustafa Amine taking on Sam Sheffield, and Mustafa, nice initiation, fires it in, but he does slow massively. You can see the rear wheels not spinning, no smoke being produced, and it's weird for me to say because this is virtual, but it does count, and the judges will be looking at that. Sam Sheffield did make big contact, but then Sheffield gets a little bit aggravated. You can see him taking jabs, taking blows at Mustafa in that GTR, and Sheffield just getting himself choked up a little bit there on the inside of the roundabout, took the wrong line through and ended up on the inside. The judges have been looking at that one as we swap them around. Sheffield to lead, Amine to give chase.
Yeah, nothing pretty about that first round of the battle, so let's see what happens in the second. Can they tidy it up? It will be Sam Sheffield in the lead, but oh, a very aggressive start from Amine, almost jumping past the lead car. Sam Sheffield goes wide on the track, and oh, a little bit of braking there into that clipping zone. Judges will be watching that. Amine now staying back a little bit and trying to transition as close as he can. Does a good job, but he's going to get caught a little bit on the inside. No, he makes it work. Sam Sheffield looking a little bit tighter here. He's got to get this roundabout right. He's a little bit just slower out of there and coming away from the zone a little bit early, and it's a lot going on in a very short amount of time in this one, Ian.
Yeah,
it's very hard for my mouth to keep up with the pace of this battle because there is a lot going on in these runs. It's not a very long course, but there's a lot of technicality in there.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for me, Dave, taking a look back at the replay there, is how far out of those outside zones Amine was. It was a big mistake, but could the first run be enough to take Sheffield out? And it is. Mustafa Amine gets the win and advances through into the top 16. Unfortunately, Sam Sheffield exits competition early.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit of an error. I mean, you know, the lead car maybe obviously not slowing as much as we initially thought. And moving on to our next battle, it's going to be a very interesting one between a Ferrari and an RX-7, two of the prettiest cars ever made. So it is going to be another battle in our top 32. It's going to be Holstner from Sweden. He is going to be in the lead position, and it's going to be Patrick, Bernard Patrick from the UK, taking into that first run. And this is a very, very close battle. Look how big that Ferrari looks on track, Ian.
Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely dominating the circuit right now. Very good transition into the outside zone from both those guys. Holstner fires into the outside zone, full throttle in that Mazda RX-7. And that Ferrari just struggling to keep up. It looks absolutely huge next to that Mazda.
It does, and it goes to show the progression of the size of production cars over the years. And you know, not a bad first car. Again, not getting to that outer zone 2 for me is a big mistake from Holstner. I remember mentioning that, you know, when you go into that first zone, you've got to almost ride the wall the whole way around to the second clip. If you don't, you end up like that, kind of having to back away a little bit too early. So not the perfect lead run. And Brandon Patrick in the chase position, you know, doing okay, not doing too bad. It's a tough one to call because it's not perfect from either driver.
No, it certainly is. Isn't easy. Brandon Patrick in the lead position now. Holstner to give chase. As they come off the line, Holstner in that Ferrari. Patrick in that Ferrari to lead him out. Nice flick across the circuit, deep into that first outside zone. Set up nicely for the... And just a tag on the wall. Just as I said that, looked like he was into that second outside zone nicely. Completely upsets his line. He has to think about it again. 90 degrees to the wall. Messes up once again. Holstner has to make contact. Nowhere else for him to go. As they get into the roundabout, Holstner gets himself collected. Jumps onto the side of the Ferrari.
I was just about to say, Ian, that I'm actually surprised both cars finished the run because there was a lot of hitting there going on. So firstly, in the lead position, Patrick way too deep into the wall. As I mentioned, sort of speared it across. Then he got contact everywhere from that point on. And the judges swinging with Holstner. Holstner from Sweden gets the win. And I'm in agreement. There was a couple of mistakes there from the Ferrari in the lead position. Hit the wall. That big car didn't help him there, Ian.
No, it certainly didn't, Dave. Probably played foul to him there. Could have been done with a Mini. That might have been better. Yeah,
it's a very small car. Would have been ideal. So let's move on to our next battle. It is going to be Rapina from Poland taking on Tazemski from Poland. All Polish battle here in the top 32. Two very good drivers. We've been watching these guys in the preliminary rounds, Ian, and they've looked very strong.
Yeah, they certainly have. Rapina has been a guy that we have been wowed by the whole series so far. Both guys fire in. Tazemski to lead them in. Rapina onto the door. That S14, they come firing through that inside clip. Look at the shallows up the angle and stays on the inside. Perfectly timed transition from Rapina now. As Rapina jumps back up onto the side of the Nissan and transition into the roundabout. Look at Rapina, full calm and collected as he starts to push the Drift Patriot across the line.
Wow. You talk about him, you build him up, and then he delivers right when you want him to. Rapina looking incredible in that chase position. You can see left foot braking. What I like about it is he's going wide with that lead car and he's staying with him. He's not shortcutting the track and getting caught in the middle. Watch, Rapina stays sort of, you know, as wide as he can without getting himself caught. We've seen a couple of guys get caught, especially here into the roundabout. If you see that chase car door to door with one of his wheels into that outer zone, he's on the right line. That's exactly where Rapina was there.
Well, time to swap them around. Rapina to lead, Tazemski to give chase. And Rapina in that BMW, switching up the livery for this event. They come firing down through the gears. Big flick across the track. Wow, incredible initiation for Tazemski. Tazemski wheel to wheel as they get into the outside zone. Look at Tazemski equaling the angle and proximity as they come through the middle of the track. Perfectly timed transition. Both guys 90 degrees to the wall. A little bit of a gap opens up there as Tazemski now looks to close the door, claim back that proximity as he pushes Rapina across the line.
Well, here might be the first big discussion from the judges, Ian. This is not going to be an easy one to call. Into that first quarter we can go, and Tazemski just absolutely perfect. I mean, he took a risk there, paid off. Stayed right with Rapina throughout the whole course, and this is where it's really impressive. Watch the transition from the chase driver. He actually gets almost 90 degrees to the wall. Did he intend it? It doesn't really matter. It looks cool, and he gets away with it. And as they come in here, it looked to me like Rapina was on the right line. Zemski was just sort of on and off throttle a little bit, but really you're pinching tiny scores here and there. So have the judges come up with a decision, and it's a decision which we probably would have called as well. One more time between Zemski and Rapina. I think it's the right call, Ian.
Yeah, I think it's the right call, Dave. I could watch these two guys battle all day long, and to lose one of them now at this point in competition is criminal, but somebody has to win, somebody has to move through, and these are the best of the best virtual drifters from around the world, all here on an aircraft carrier in international waters. Could it get any weirder, Dave?
They could be in Ireland, they could be in Africa, they could be in Australia. We don't know. We don't exactly know where this aircraft carrier is. We'll try and find out. So, Rapina now has to go and do it all over again. Can he? He had a very smooth, very controlled chase. Is he going to risk it a little bit more here on Zemski's door? Let's see what happens.
Oh, contact as Rapina goes too hard. Rapina goes way too hard.
Is that commentator's curse now, Ian, that I said that he was just going to go too hard, and then he literally didn't get past the first corner. So this is what happens when guys get so close, and we have it one more time. They are as close as you can be. So where more do you go from there? That's the question, right? How much more can you push without causing an incident? And now Rapina sits on a -10 from that first run, and I think we're looking at Zemski just putting in a clean run here and winning the battle, and he's in the chase position. So, you know, it would take a disaster to turn this one around.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would take Zemski now to make contact with the wall and spin out. Zemski really just needs to keep close enough for it to be an active chase, not do too much, and take himself out. Rapina, though, what a mistake. Could not believe it. Come through the centre of the circuit. Zemski doing exactly what we said, Dave. You can see there's aggression, but just not too much. Rapina can do nothing in that lead position to try and upset Zemski. Zemski stays in the zone and close enough to call it an active chase, and does the job, Dave.
Clever driving, pro driving.
Yeah.
Not losing the head, not trying to show off, just said, I gotta stay close to him, but I don't need to be right on his door. But to be fair, at this point I thought he was going a little too aggressive for how much of an advantage he had. But it goes to show how capable he is of managing that aggression. And to be honest, it's been the story of the night so far, Ian. You know, a lot of big, great drivers getting knocked out by just going a little bit too crazy in on the chase position and causing an incident. Once you hit that lead car and that lead car goes in the wall, you're pretty much done. So there's two of your biggest fans, Ian.
Two of my biggest, the only fans I have, Dave. So here we go. Zemski gets the win and advances through into the top 16. And what a shame for Rapina. It just goes to show you, Dave, that a little bit too much take you out that easy.
Exactly, and I mean, we're getting some upsets already here through the top 32 bracket. I can only imagine what's going to happen as we get through the order. We move on to our next battle, Ian, another big one.
Yeah, this one's going to be a big one. It is Pontus Jakobsen to take on Adrian Chavez. Fire down, Chavez fires in that BMW E36. Oh, and a little bit of understeer there from Jakobsen. Oh, contact into the wall, as now Jakobsen has to collect himself, pick himself back up again. He fires up onto the door of the E36 BMW. Oh, it's starting to get scrappy from Jakobsen right now as they come into the outside zone. Jakobsen once again looks for the door of Chavez's BMW. He keeps his cool, and across the line they go.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and I think Jakobsen making some errors there, Ian. I think on initiation he comes in on a very straight line approach, picks up some speed, but he's on the wrong line, has to understeer a little bit. Now there's an incident where Chavez hits the wall. That's his big mistake on this run. And I kind of felt that it balanced itself off a little bit, but then watch this from Jakobsen. He gets caught on the inside of the circuit here, on and off the throttle, just kind of jumping around a little bit. And, you know, it's not the worst. I think it's scrappy at areas from both. I mean, Jakobsen has two small errors. Chavez has one big error. I'm going to call that one pretty even and let them decide on the second one.
Yeah, so here we go. Jakobsen now to lead Chavez to give chase. Once again, two very, very capable drivers. It's Sweden versus Spain right now. They fire in. Oh, Chavez looks like he was going to go for a big dive up onto the door there. Backs out of it ever so slightly. Jakobsen keeps his calm. Look at this. Chavez noses that BMW onto the door, that RX-7 through the centre of the circuit. They pick up some serious speed. No messing around on that wall zone. In and out of it. Into the roundabout. Look at Chavez onto the wheel. Wing mirror to wing mirror across the line.
You know what? I thought I had my mind made up on that one, and now I don't. So, you're right. It looks to me like Jakobsen has the better run through the first corner, gets to the outside zone. Chavez doing a good job, though. Chavez forces the issue just here, reminding that Jakobsen that he's there. Well, the transition could be a little bit closer, but however, does go wide to the zones where Jakobsen didn't. It's going to be up to the judges now to decide. I mean, I think the line was better from Chavez on both runs, but Jakobsen had the more moments of brilliance.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree there with you, Dave. God, I don't want to see either of them go.
You can hear the faint burble of the rotary there, which I quite like.
I love how realistic these are.
Yeah, it sounds like someone with a little BB gun, in a good way. And you can even see in the back of the car there. Look at the detail. I mean, why would you need to have perfect diff bolts in in the back of the car in a virtual world? But hey, that's how much detail these cars have. It's how much closer it's getting to real life as well, Ian. Yeah,
it's just incredible. Even the setup. You can add fuel, the tyre pressures, the coilovers and roll bars, and every single thing you can think you can change on a normal car, you can do in the virtual world. Here we go, decisions in. Oh wow, a split panel for the winner. It goes to Jakobsen, and the Swedish driver goes through, Dave, just like that.
Wow, incredible stuff. We move along our top 32 bracket. We're going to take another very small, very quick break. We're back with more action after this. Welcome back to the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Welcome back to the grand finale on an aircraft carrier in international waters. Ian is trying to find out exactly where we are right now. But Ian, we've had some interesting battles. Tough ones there for the judges. Start off with a lot of crashes, a lot of battles sorting themselves out. Now it looks like these guys are getting a handle for the track. They're watching the other battles. They're starting to manage their aggression. And we're getting some good door-to-door action.
Yeah, some seriously good battles, Dave, coming in now, and they're starting to clean it up a little bit. I think guys are realising that pushing that little bit too much doesn't pay you any favours and could easily end your competition fight with one hard dive onto the wall, as we see here with Sam Sheffield. A few jabs too many against Mustafa Amine, knocked himself out of competition. But then you go on the other hand and you get two guys that are door-to-door all the way through. Very clean and very, very tough for the judges.
Absolutely. If you're joining us on the live stream, let us know where you're watching from. Where in the world are you? We don't know where we are because we're on an aircraft carrier in international waters, but you should know where you are. So let us know. And if you guys are watching on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you hit that share button. Share it out to your friends. Share it out to your family. We're having some fun tonight here on the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Let us know where you're watching from, who you think looks like your favorite so far, and what do you think of the track? Let us know that in the comments.
So, Dave, have you got a favourite? That's what I want to know. It's one question.
Do I have a favourite?
Do you have a favourite? Do you have a favourite so far? Do you have someone in your mind that you think could take this home? I do, personally.
I think Alex Sevriak looks good to me.
Okay.
I think he's looking good to me. What do you think?
Yeah, he's looking good. We're going to move it along, though, to the next battle. It's going to be Victor Alves to take on Sarunas Jurkavicius. And Alves in that lead position. Jurkavicius in that big old Mustang. Dave fires up onto the side of the S15, looking aggressive as he dives onto the door. Nice transition from Jurkavicius as Jurkavicius looks to make a jab once again. Very clean for the centre of the circuit from the lead driver there. Victor Alves gets the pull out of the roundabout though and leaves Jurkavicius in his cloud of smoke.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of pace there at the end made all the difference from Alves, didn't it? Because up until then, it looked to me like Eurovicious looked very good. It's a very big car, that Mustang, in comparison to the S15, so it looks almost unusual. But they had a great chase and lead all the way up until that last corner. And I mean, for me, Eurovicious managing that aggression, not doing anything too spectacularly great, just staying in the fight. He gets a bit of a stall there coming out of the roundabout. I think that's probably the difference maker that gave Alves and made Alves look a little faster than he was. Alves may be taking a very slight advantage, but that's about it for me. But still, all to play for in the second battle, and it's going to be a bit of a delayed start off the line from Eurovicious, and he's got to come in very vicious into that first corner.
Yeah, he certainly has, Dave, as Victor Alves shallows up the angle, noses in that S15 up onto the side, now starts to mimic the angle of Eurovicious as they transition down up onto that outside zone, 90 degrees to the wall with that Mustang, very, very brave. As Alves once again looks to dive, shallow angle though, as he noses that S15 onto the front wheel of that Mustang across the line, pushing him, almost making contact.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had only one move that I could give the top marks to, that would be that transition from Eurovicious to the American, with an incredible move. Watch this transitioning. How he pulls it on this car with that side, like, absolutely spot on there. On top of that, Alves looks good throughout the rest of the course. But again, we haven't seen a definitive moment from either driver that I would say that's a guaranteed win. So the judges are going to break this down technically now to which parts of the course they're rewarding more for what. And we're going to find out very soon who's going to get the win here.
Yeah, not an easy decision. So
independent throttle bodies on the Mustang too. It gets another mark
looking
for
very
me
good.
for cool factor.
Must say, Dave, there's a lot of people watching from Ireland.
From Ireland, wow.
A lot of people watching from Ireland.
Yeah, we've had the pubs closed for a year, Ian, so people from Ireland watch anything right now, no matter what's happening anywhere. It's going to be one more time for Alves and Eurovicious. I think that's a fair call. To me, naturally, I didn't swing one way or the other there.
No, there was it was a very... I'm going to go out there, Dave, and say it's a very vanilla battle. Nothing very happened that was,
You want some of the strawberry and chocolate swirl cream on the sauce on it. You want someone to put some sauce on it and just go
someone
home.
to put some sauce on, yeah.
And that's the problem you have now, is that we're telling everyone to manage their aggression. Now we're telling everyone we want more. I mean, we're like Goldilocks here.
So here we go, off the line. Victor Alves to lead in Eurovicious. Oh, very nice job on that initiation from Alves. 90 degrees to the wall. Sets himself up perfectly for the outside zone. That kind of throws off Eurovicious there on that outside zone. He just couldn't hold on to it. Separation as Eurovicious looks for the side of the S15. Just can't get there. Can he make a dive into the outside zone here? Goes a little bit too deep. Struggles to find the side of that S15.
You know what? I think that lead run from Alves was probably as close to a 100-point run we've seen in the lead position. Watch this.
Incredible.
90 degrees to the wall on the first clip. Perfect to the wall on the second clip. Now watch this, is really impressive. On the inner clip, absolutely spot on. And Eurovicious doing a great job following, but he's got a great lead run to follow. I mean, almost absolutely perfect. Filling the whole course. Back on it again, out to the outer zone. I think Alves could take the advantage there. I mean, he's absolutely spot on the whole way through. No major mistakes from Eurovicious, but he's going to have to bring one hell of a lead run here too.
Yeah, he certainly has, Dave. He's really going to have to pull his socks up here. As now Victor Alves gets the jump for the chase there, as he's rightly so to do. Fires through the gears, down the start straight, onto the back bumper. Oh, a big angle from Eurovicious there as he fires into the outside zone.
How does he get away with it? How does he get away with it, Ian? It's absolutely insane. Look at this angle from Eurovicious. I think Alves is actually confused about what's going on in front of him, because I think he thinks Eurovicious has spun twice already. He cannot believe he's still in the fight. So, not as clean from Eurovicious, but much more style and maybe much more risk.
How did that even make sense, Dave? Look at this.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's the best lead line from the first two clippings.
Incredible.
I mean, there's not much more you can ask from a lead driver than this. And then watch, again, 90 degrees onto the wall. It's a big old car too. But good chasing from Alves there.
Yeah,
does well
this
with,
is the only thing.
I was about to say, does really good well with the fact that, there's big angle in front of him, which is always almost more difficult to chase in many ways. And he does a great job of it. So the judges are going to have a long conversation, I'd imagine, here. But are you going to go for big style, or are you going to go for consistency? That's what we're going to do. We're deciding that by the judges at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think the judges are going to go for the consistency. Alves was closer in that chase, as much as Jovicius threw on the sauce that we was looking for, Dave. He threw the sauce down. I just think that the consistency was strong, and there we go. It pays off. Victor Alves gets the win and advances through into the top 16.
Yeah, so we started off with vanilla. We then got the sauce. Will one of these drivers throw the flake in, Ian? Then we put the flake in there. Then we're on to something.
We're by the sea. Well, we're in the sea, so why not have ice cream?
Yeah, here's one of those guys you watched out for, winner of a previous round, an element in his element, as I always say. But he goes up against Gazowski, and this is going to be another very, very toughly fought battle because both of these guys were sensational. We might have a false start there. I'm not sure we might have even had another car rocking around there. So let's see what happens. Lights are going to go out any moment now. We are going to send them off the line. Here we go. It is going to be Alex Element in the lead position. Got a big jump on the chase driver there, and you don't often get it on this course, and I think he's going to take every piece of advantage he can get here as Alex Element leaving Gazowski in his wake at the moment, and Gazowski cannot find an easy track to catch up on. But Gazowski making a big dive into that corner. He's going to make another one here into the roundabout just to try and balance out. And he does a great job on that transition. How does he get away with it? And it looks like Alex Element, absolutely no issues in that lead position. Gazowski had left a bit at the start, but a great finish from him. Really strong. Gets back into the battle, but the damage might have been done in from the start.
Yeah, Gazowski just left it too late on that initiation. You can see him missing both of those first outside zones, but then really kind of pulls it back together again as Element fires into this outside zone. This is a nice dive from Gazowski, and then this transition, look at that, perfect timing. Up onto the door he goes, matches the angle, gets both wheels in the outside zone, stays with him, and incredible end to the run. But was it, a little bit too much, too late?
Well, I don't think Alex Element's going to let the same thing happen here anyway. As you can see, straight off the line, he's going to stay with the lead driver. Let's see how he gets on here as he manages that aggression, but very close on initiation. Element looking good here.
Yeah, Element looking very, very good as he goes door to door, left foot braking, balance that S14 onto the side of that BMW F22. They come through the centre of the circuit, out of that outside zone though is Gazowski. Gazowski's starting to fall apart here, like a soggy tea bag, Dave. As Element once again dives up onto the door, and Gazowski, incredible chase driving.
I think Gazowski had one or two really good flashes of brilliance in that, but I think Alex Element way too strong over the two runs. And as you said, Gazowski looked strong at the start, but Element had a far better chase through the first corner. He tidied it up, and then Gazowski missing that outer zone. That was all she wrote. And it's going to be Alex Element from the Ukraine going through to the top 16. No surprise there, Ian. He's been looking super unbeatable since he's come into this competition. There's another one to put a little note beside for later on.
Yeah, definitely worth keeping an eye on Element as we move through the competition. Back to the start line we go. It's going to be two absolute heavy hitters right now. Brazil versus Finland. Braho to take on Warren. And off the line they go. A90 Super to take on the Drift Masters' very own F22 BMW. Warren fires in. Road up onto the side. Oh, too much angle from the chase driver. As he completely messes up, you can see him stand on the accelerator to try and close that gap, that lost proximity. They come through the centre of the circuit, up onto the wall goes Warren now as he looks for the outside zone on the roundabout. A road in the inside, you can see him desperately throwing punches and jabs at Warren to try and make up some lost ground.
Yeah, not a bad chase, just that first corner. Yeah, went on way too much angle in. You caught that one correctly. Road just ran out of road. He went in on big angle. He stalled up. He's very lucky he didn't go into the wall, but it completely messed up his line for the second outer zone. He does get back into the course, but I will say that this is one of the easier courses to catch up on the lead driver, so it can mask your mistakes a little bit more than those faster flowing tracks like Riga or some of the virtual tracks we've used in. When it's really fast, very hard to get back into it. But this, you can sort of dive across the course a little bit on the transitions and, cut out your angle and get in there. So judges will be watching that. I think Warren taking a bit of an advantage there.
Oh, swapped him around, time for Road to lead. And Warren to give chase. Warren, for me, looking like the stronger contender at the moment. Left sleeping a little bit though on the line as he waits for Road to settle that big A90 Supra into the outside zone. Now Warren starts to reel him in, starts to look for the side of that Supra as they transition down onto the outside zone. Lovely job from both guys there as Warren stays with him. Perfect transition. Warren makes a dive up onto the front wheel as Warren takes a little punch to the nose of that Supra.
think Warren has done enough, Ian. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's it, Dave. That little jab at the end, I think that was like the exclamation mark to the judges to say, bam, I've got it. This is me. This is where I'm at. Very, very nice lead, though, from Road. Didn't think he had it in him after that big mistake in the chase position. And this, very, very clean from both guys. Look at that, both rear wheels in that outside zone. Incredible job.
I think it's down to those one mistakes every 2 runs, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, you know, every guy here can do this course. I would say it's not incredibly difficult to get around it, but to get it right is incredibly difficult. And one error, it's almost highly punished. And Warren doing a good job of getting out of that real heavyweight battle with the win, going through to the top 16, well deserved. But as I was just mentioning, Ian, take any sort of, you know, you go a little too far, a little too fast, it's all over. And that's the big mistake that's costing a lot of these guys to win. Next up, 2 more heavyweights come into the arena. It's going to be Tatterson against, oh, we got a little bit of a false start. And it's going to be against the man that wowed us in Riga,
Yes,
which
Stephen
is
Hatcher.
Stephen Hatcher. Yeah, Stephen Hatcher and both Tatterson looking incredibly strong in early competition. Let's see how they get on here.
Here we go. Hatcher is the guy that I've got my eye on at the moment right now in that incredible Master RX-8. Look at the dive straight out the back. No messing around. Hatcher is hungry for this one as he edges that RX-8 up into the front bumper. Look at this. Incredible stuff from Hatcher. Tatterson holding his own though out front in that Pro Drift Academy S15. Oh, Tatterson drops down, shallows up the angle, looks a little bit scrappy there as they both get amongst it and across the line.
Well, I mean, we almost took a breath, and then we couldn't take a breath right throughout that run because it was incredible from Hatcher. He really risked it on the first corner, went a little deep, sort of knew how good Tatterson was, knew how consistent he'd be, put a little bit of trust in him. But those transitions, Ian, you just do not get away with them on any other day. And he had to put it all on the line, and he did. Now watch this, you were dead right. Big angle, slows up Tatterson. He's almost on a rolling burnout out of that roundabout. So that's going to be more points to Hatcher. Hatcher looking incredibly strong right now, even though Tatterson put in a phenomenal lead.
Yeah, Tatterson right now needs to put down a phenomenal lead. Hatcher knows what he needs to do. They come off the line, lights go out. Hatcher smokes the tyres on the back of that Mazda RX-8, flicks it across the track. Tatterson right there with him. Oh, Tatterson gets it wrong ever so slightly, has to readjust his line now, finds aside that Mazda RX-8, creeps up on the inside as Tatterson holds it on angle for as long as he can. Look at the wall ride from Reese Tatterson, stalls the car up, times the transition perfectly to get those rear wheels perfectly in the outside zone. Tatterson lands a punch to the nose of the Mazda as Tatterson now goes door to door with Hatcher across the line.
I mean, we say door to door a lot, but that really was door to door. You know, actually, Hatcher comes in and his line through the first corner is just spectacular. He leaves it late when on the transition, so this is an interesting part for me to see which way the judges go. But I think Tatterson definitely did enough in that chase position. He does get the win and goes through. I think Hatcher overshot that second transition, and you know what? From my perspective, that was. We actually doubted Tatterson's ability to maybe win that one, and it showed us how good he can be.
Yeah.
Meaning he's a big threat for the rest of the competition. Well, we're going to take a small break, take a word from our partners, and we will be back very soon with more action from the final round of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the finale of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Ian, it has been a lot of fun so far. We're on an aircraft carrier. We're seeing some of the best virtual drifters in the world go absolutely door to door, and in many cases crash, spin, not fall in the sea yet, but you know, don't count anything out yet.
Yeah, it's been an incredible round so far, Dave. What a way to finish off an incredible season of virtual drifting, and to be on an aircraft carrier door to door with the best virtual drifters from around the world. What a weird sentence, but it's happening tonight.
It is, and we're down to the 16 finalists at this point in time, guys. We're into the top 16. 16 drivers remain from a starting point of, if I'm not mistaken, 96 drivers. We are down to 16 remaining, and only one of them will be donning the suit and jumping into Peter Viansek's 900 horsepower 2JZ Worthouse S15. What an amazing opportunity for these guys to take it from their simulator to the real world, and I'm really interested to see whoever wins this, can they translate those skills into the real world? Well, there's never been as big a prize, there's never been as much on the line for virtual drifting. Some of the guys getting a couple of practice runs in, and it's lining up like this, Ian. We've got some incredible battles coming your way. We've got Pileski qualified first, untested so far. He goes up against Korsmo. Meehan goes up against Fulham, Ramazzotti against O'Sullivan, Severiak against Matai, Holster against Amine, Jakobsen against, I'm just going to look at my notes here in front of me. Jakobsen will be taking on Tzemski. We've got Victor Alves going up against Element. We've got Warren going up against Tatterson. We've got all the heavyweight battles coming up, and it's the best of the best from all the rounds, all 4 rounds into this finale. And those guys, there's a lot of pressure building now. We've got so far, and one slip up knocks you out. It's going to be very, very tough for these guys.
Yeah, exactly that, Dave. And we've seen some of these guys just pushing that little bit too hard, 10% too hard on this circuit into those outside zones, can knock yourself out. And it's a fine line. The balance is very, very hard. But now these guys have had a little bit of practice. They've had some seat time. They've had some competition seat time as well. So top 16 should be a little bit cleaner. I say that with bated breath, Dave.
Absolutely. I mean, if I won it, I would drive into the sea. That would be what I would do, just as a celebration. But I'm not putting any ideas in anyone's heads. Now we move on to our top 16. Here comes the big battles. Pileski hasn't been tested so far. We saw him do a bye run. He was absolutely pinpoint in that lead position. He will be in lead positions all the way in the first half of the battles to the final if he gets that far. He's got an advantage, but Korsmo wants to ruin his day. He is in that E46 BMW. Here we go. First top 16 battle. Who's going to take it home?
Well, let's see. Pileski untested, as you said, fires down. Look at that incredible initiation. And now Korsmo starts to find the side of that S14A as they come through the middle of the circuit. Pileski looks for the outside zone. Incredible job so far. Wow, what a wall run from that guy. This guy is on rails at the moment. Into the outside zone he goes. Korsmo finds the side of the S14A, looks to make a little jab and pushes him across the line.
Yeah, Korsmo doing nothing wrong there, really, but except losing a bit of ground on the run-up. That really can happen at this level of competition. He's got to make a big dive, as you can see there, to cut up the course a little bit to get back into it. But as you mentioned, Pileski looks absolutely... He's like Scalextrics in that lead position. He's absolutely online all the way through the course, making no errors. And that's all you can do in the lead position. Korsmo has all the lead run to work with, but he's cutting the course quite a bit. So I think the advantage is going to be Pileski here.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think Pileski is, 1 foot in that great 8, as we say. Dave was swapping him around. Korsmo now to lead, Pileski to give chase. Lights light up when they extinguish. It's time to go. Korsmo fires off the line. Pileski straight onto the back bumper of that BMW E46. Nice initiation in. Pileski gives him some room to manoeuvre. Just wanders out of that outside zone. Looks for the front wheel of that BMW as they come down in front of that front clipping point now. Nice transition. Pileski bumper to bumper as they get into the outside zone. Look at that. Wheel to wheel. Pileski not messing around. Stalls up. Gets the transition time absolutely perfect in the roundabout. Pileski, a man on a hunt for the final right now.
Yeah, I think that is as good as it gets. I mean, I got to give all the props in the world to Korsmo. That initiation was phenomenal. The line was phenomenal. He brought the fight. But look at Pileski. He had all the lead run to work with, similarly to when we switched these around. But he made much more use of it. He got much closer. I think that's going to be an easy decision for the judges, and it is going to be the Pileski going through. And from my perspective right now, Ian, just put a little star beside his name because he is looking very strong on this track.
Yeah, incredible driving so far, Dave. And can he keep it up? Can he keep the consistency going? That's what we want to know. We move it back to the start line. It will be Craig Fulham to take on Meehan right now. Ireland versus the USA.
Here we go. It's going to be Fulham in the lead position in that Corvette. He is going to be chased down by Brandon Meehan. And Meehan not taking any prisoners here, going in very close into that first corner. cutting the course a little bit. Look at that wide line from Fulham. Excellent stuff in the lead position in that Corvette. But Meehan doing a great job of staying with him, losing a little bit of ground here. This transition's going to have to be aggressive. And
wow.
Look at that, Fulham putting big angle to the wall, and Meehan not really taking advantage of it. And Meehan's got himself a little bit caught here on the inside of the track, outside of the zone. Still got the proximity though, but a phenomenal lead run from the US driver, and Meehan maybe not making the best of it in the chase position. Had a lot to work with there, but this initiation from Fulham, watch this, Ian, right out to the edge of the course, runs that wall all the way around, and that's what we want to see. So, you know, not bad driving from Meehan in the chase position, just I think didn't make enough of the opportunity.
No, and you're right there, Dave. It was an incredible lead, perfect to chase, and I just don't think Meehan took that opportunity. You can see he made a few dives, a few hits here and there, but there was just, it lacked that little wow factor. And for me, Craig Fulham looking very, very strong out front.
Remember, this is incredibly difficult, and we are being very critical of people driving incredibly well. However, if there's this level of driving, you can't make any mistakes. You got to put your full hand out there on the table, and I think Meehan's got to come with a very sensational lead run here to get back into this. But at the moment, Fulham left a little bit napping, and this is all looking good for Meehan, and a bit of a wobble from Fulham into that first corner, getting back into the battle here. A little bit of a touch of front wheels as well. Fulham in the chase position making some errors, and Meehan doing a good job of getting back out to the wall. Fulham though gets that proximity. Now can he manage this transition nicely? Does, and Meehan takes it back out to the outer zone. Meehan fighting his way back into this battle as Fulham not looking as comfortable in the chase as he was in the lead.
Well, there we go. A little bit of a turn of fate there, Dave, and you could see Fulham there smoking the tyres on the back of that Corvette down to the run into the outside zone. And Meehan looking very, very strong. Not as far out of that second outside zone. We'd like to see a little jab there from Craig Fulham as they transition. Fulham here, though, gets himself messed up quite a little bit. Look, puts on too much angle, ends up on the inside, and has to transition very, very early to make that switch to get back up onto the door. Looks for me like Brandon Meehan looking stronger out front.
I think Judge is going to be weighing up all of those critical points of both of these runs. Mistakes from both drivers. Meehan not taking a massive advantage in his chase. Fulham looking better in his lead. A couple of mistakes from both drivers, and all the mistakes really coming from the chase position to me, Ian, which means that they're going to weigh those two runs up, and it's lead versus lead, chase versus chase. Who's going to take the win?
So we'll wait for that judge's decision to drop in. A tough one for these two guys as we get ever closer to crowning a winner of the Drift Masters ever virtual championship.
Well, that's
I want
exactly
a replay.
It. And that means the judges are having a good think about this one, because they haven't come to a decision yet. They want to watch the runs again, and I think they want to really watch this chase run from Fulham. He's missing zones there, has a little bit of contact, and as you mentioned, when he transitioned back, Ian gets himself stuck a little bit in the middle of the course here, has to kind of, you know, almost transition at the same time as Meehan to get back into the fight. So it is going to be one more time. Kevin going for Meehan, and it looks like the other two judges not convinced, and I think that's a fair call. I mean, there was nothing. You want one driver to win this outright, and I think it was probably really tight between, you know, point here and point there at this stage of the competition with so much on the line. It's worth giving these guys another run out just to say, hey, we want to make a clear winner out of this.
Exactly that, Dave, and a lot of stake tonight, a lot of stake, so these guys want to make the right decision as we wait for those two drivers to make their way back to the start line. So we could just see Brandon Meehan there making his way around. So it will be Fulham to lead, Meehan to give chase.
I'm just thinking, does Meehan, he probably has learned from that first set of battles. He's got to be closer here.
Yeah.
He's got to get a lot closer to the lead driver. He's got to push a little bit harder than he did before. And it looks like he's definitely not being, he's going in much harder than he was the first time.
Yeah, he's going to go for it, Dave. Look at this. Finds himself on the inside ever so slightly. Shallows off the angle. Gets the front wheel to front wheel. Fulham on that perfect lead line once again. Very tidy transition this time. Both guys 90 degrees to the wall. Oh, Meehan gets it ever so slightly. Gets the back bumper into the wall. Oh, makes contact with Fulham. Fulham holds on to it though. And scrappy now as Meehan struggles to keep his composure.
Yeah, that's. I mean, he did go for it. We'll give him all the props in the world for that. But sometimes when you go for it, you do make mistakes. I think his line on the first corner wasn't great. He was on the inside. He was making up more ground than Fulham. He had a shorter course to run. But the big mistake comes here when he transitions late. He leaves it a little bit too late. Bang, hits the wall. Doesn't straighten out completely, but it is an error. And then as they transition back again, hits the front wheel, jams him up into the inside of the course. And as Fulham actually almost helped on a better line by that, finishes off, I think, with an advantage.
So to swap him around now, Brandon Meehan to give the lead to Fulham. The lights go out. Fulham to chase down Meehan right now for a spot in the Great Eight. Awaits for one of these two guys. Look at Fulham this time, no messing around, and perfect initiation as he initiates exactly the same time, matches the angle, drops out of the outside zone, but he's within a metre of the lead driver. And look at the way he stalls it up on the foot brake just to get that transition done. This is incredible for Craig Fulham right now. Oh, a little jab onto the wheel, but they both hold onto it. As now Fulham looks to dive once again, shallows out the angle in the roundabout, but he is wheel to wheel across the line.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted to see on the first set of battles from Fulham. You know, using a sort of managed aggression. He really does mimic Meehan through the whole course here, and I think he's done a great job of, you know, sort of, I would imagine, maybe I'm preempting this, but cementing his place in the top 8. And, you know, I don't think it's going to be, from watching both runs, Meehan makes big errors. There's some errors from Fulham there as well, but maybe not as severe. And I think it's going to be Fulham. And it is indeed Fulham going through to the top 8. And that's a fair way of deciding this one, Ian. We've got a clear winner there.
Exactly that, Dave. And, you know, one more time, just proved that Fulham had the consistency, could hold on to it. Unfortunately, Brandon Meehan out of competition.
I mean, the course is just hilarious to look at, to be fair, because it's what you imagine you could do anything with drifting in the world. This is where it would be happening. And we're on to our next battle. It's going to be Ramazzotti from Brazil taking on O'Sullivan from the US. Two guys who look very strong in competition. We might have a false start. I didn't see any lights come up on the start line. Traffic light, if you want to call it a traffic light or a beacon. Didn't happen, so I think the guy's waiting for that. Here's an interesting one. Two guys with very similar styles of driving, Ian, over the last couple of rounds we've watched. It's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tight one. As you can see, O'Sullivan leads in Ramazzotti. Ramazzotti had one more time earlier on, so he's had a few fair runs at this track by now, but look at that lead from O'Sullivan as he comes down that inside clipping point. Very, very tidy job so far. Ramazzotti gets himself into it. Oh! And
I was waiting for it to happen. I was waiting for it to happen all night. That someone was going to just take a little bit too much of a bite out of the sandwich on the transition, and that is how close you can get to essentially knocking yourself out of competition. That wall-to-wall transition across the aircraft carrier, if you don't get it right, if you go a foot too deep, that is exactly what happened. And I think you look at O'Sullivan there, he was looking for that perfect lead run, and just a split second, in an instant, he's got a massive disadvantage now.
Yeah, it happens so quickly, and yeah, we haven't seen it yet. That's the first time we witnessed it tonight, and what a shame. O'Sullivan was the man that took the chunk out of it. Well, the lights light up, and it will be Ramazzotti now to lead out O'Sullivan. And I think that now all Ramazzotti needs to do is just put down that perfect lead line. There's not a whole lot that O'Sullivan can do in the chase position, really, to try and overturn it all. But a clip on the wall there from Ramazzotti is maybe the excitement gets too much. Nice transition from both guys. Big dive from O'Sullivan as he tags to front wheel Ramazzotti's car, not once but twice. They get into the roundabout. Ramazzotti holds his nerve, holds his cool together. So O'Sullivan dances with the devil across the line.
I think that's all she wrote. Unfortunately for O'Sullivan, and I mean, it sort of fell perfectly for Ramazzotti there, because let's be honest, he was in the lead position. He didn't make it easy for himself. He made some errors, but on this particular occasion, it's enough, and Ramazzotti will go through to the top 8. No surprises there. And O'Sullivan is going to be furious with himself for that transition. Unforced error knocks him out of competition in the top 16, and we're moving another driver into the top 8. And you know what? Ramazzotti can do some damage.
Yeah, he certainly can, Dave. So, and moving through now, it's going to be Serban Matai to take on Alex Sevriak.
Yeah, I've had a little asterisk beside Sevriak right from when we saw him first and said, hey, this guy could be the favourite for me. But Matai's smooth style could unstick the Ukrainian, because Matai he's almost meticulous with that lead line. And I always, when I say that, they crash into the sea. But right now, I'm hoping it does hold strong, and I see what happens. It's going to be Matai into that first corner. Sevriak dives into the chase position. Look at that beautiful lead run again from Matai through the first two outer zones. But Sevriak making every use of that perfect lead run and looking incredible on the transitions. Absolutely phenomenal transition as they come through. Matai running very wide there, giving himself a big old swing in that Mark IV Supra to get into the roundabout. But no such worries for Sevriak as he pushes the Romanian across the finish line. This guy looks like the real deal.
Wow, that was, I was almost going to say flawless, Dave. Look at this. The lead and chase were just incredible. Could have been doing a little bit wider from Matai on that first outside zone, but the whole rest of the run was just incredible. But the chase from Sevriak was flawless. Look at this. No mistakes, no contact, perfectly timed transitions in the outside zones. Wow, incredible stuff.
I mean, he hasn't put a foot wrong since we've watched him almost a round and a half ago. So where does it come from? You know, I mean, he's looking absolutely dialed in. And Matai taking a big old run up at the start line here, Ian, to make sure that he's got the pace. Yeah. He's done a clever little move there because he knows Sevriak is fast. Matai is coming for a very aggressive chase here into the first corner. They go. Sevriak, just stalls up a little bit there, but gets his line back on again. And Matai looking very good in that chase position in the Super. This is almost a mirror. And the transition not as close. Sevriak takes a big jump, and Sevriak puts in a very good wall run, but Matai I thought was going to end up in the wall there and somehow gets away with it, but I would still count it as a little bit of an error, and Sevriak goes full steam across the finish line. Wow, Matai definitely pushing as hard as he could there, actually lucky to get away with that.
I mean, just incredible stuff, but I think Sevriak is the man that was going to advance through. A couple of little mistakes there just creeped in from Matai, just lost his cool ever so slightly. This is the big one for me, the big dive out of the outside zone, stalled the car up, and then once again does it here. You can see makes a dive, shallows up the angle, he's out of the outside zone. Looks like he's panicking ever so slightly that Sevriak's going to drive away.
Yeah, it looks like he's got that menacing intimidation for a lot of drivers that are very consistent. When they come up against Sevriak, they look like they're starting to lose a little bit of that, I would probably say consistency, but let's see what happens. And look, from my perspective, Matai was one of the most consistent drivers over this whole campaign. I'm not sure he's done enough in those two runs. He had to actually get very inconsistent to stay with Sevriak, and Sevriak takes the win and moves on to face Jose Ramazzotti in the top 8. And there's a big battle coming up in a couple of minutes' time. I think Sevriak, to me, Pileski, like they're looking very strong right now.
Yeah, incredibly strong. We look to move it along to the next battle.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do, Ian. We'll take a small break to catch our breath after that incredible battle, and we'll be back very soon with the second half of the bracket here in our top 16. We're getting closer to that top 8 and closer to that final. Don't go anywhere. It's the finale of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. We're back soon. Well, we're moving along the order here at the last round, the finale of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. And Ian, we've started to pick out some favourites here. Pileski looked very, very strong against Korsmo, and Korsmo has been a big competitor right throughout this entire competition. Pileski looking strong. We have Sevriak looking strong. Craig Fulham looking strong when it counted in that Corvette. And Joe Ramazzotti getting through also. They're all into the top 8 so far, and it's starting to stack up.
Yeah, the competition now, Dave, is getting to a point where it's seriously heated. Some very, very good drivers, and that great 8, Dave's looking very, very strong. But we've still got the second half of our top 16 battles to go, and there are some strong contenders in there. And one of the guys I've had my eye on, Reese Tatterson, he has been looking very, very good.
Yeah, can't take anything away from Alex Element, a previous round winner as well. And yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is all of these guys can't win, and we're all saying they're all favourites. So we're in a situation now where some of these guys are going to go from favourites to being knocked out of competition.
They certainly are, Dave, and it looks like we are warming up for the next battle in our top 16. And here we go.
Nice and tranquil out the sea until we came along, huh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, very, very tranquil. So it is going to be Mustafa Amine to lead out Alex Holzner.
Yeah, Holster's looked pretty strong, the Swede, in many of his battles now. He goes up against Amine, that big old GTR, making this track look very small. Into the first corner they go. Holster in the chase position, very close to the Saudi Arabian driver on initiation. A nice wide line from Amine as he now puts it out onto that inner zone. Look at this from Holster, and it's staying right close to the transition. Very controlled aggression. Holster trying not to make big mistakes, but a little bit of a hit with the wall for Amine. Stayed in a little bit too long, and it might be a big enough mistake. Amine also overshoots the roundabout, and Holster having to make some evasive maneuvers to stay in the game. Yeah, just fell apart a little bit for Amine there through the course. A little bit too much of a touch with the wall, a little bit too much of an over-rotation into the roundabout.
An incredible initiation there, absolutely pinpoint perfect. Got the back end of that big R35 GTR onto the wall. Very, very nice job. But look at this, just stayed in it a little bit too long. Got the back bumper 90 degrees to the wall. And as the wall section choked up, caught himself there. And then you can see overthrows it in the roundabout, as you said, Dave. And that opened the door for Holzner. Holzner really got in there then and started messing with him.
I'm wondering if the judges are going to see that as 2 wheels off. That's the question. Is that a thing? I don't know how rules work on an aircraft carrier, but maybe there are no rules except the rules that of engagement. Maybe I'm not sure. But at the same time, it would be a case of if that was a regular course, that would be 2 wheels off. So is that a 10-0? We'll find out at the end of this run. It will be Holster in the lead position, Amine in the chase position. Amine now knows he has to push incredibly hard here to stay in the fight, but he's very deep to the wall there on the first corner. Both drivers doing an exceptional job of staying in it. Holster absolutely ripping through. You can hear that rotary screaming from that RX-7 as they now come back towards the last section of the course. Amine and GTR, not the most nimble car in the world for these short transitions, but he does a good job there. A little bit of straightening maybe from Amine there, and has Holster done enough?
Yeah, a few mistakes there creeping in, Dave, as you pointed out. And for me, I don't think Amine's done enough to stay in the competition. Holzner, incredible job in that lead position. But look at this from Amine. Gets a little bit too deep there, and then has to wash out of the outside zone and starts to struggle to chase. But the votes are in, and I am completely wrong, Dave. It is Mustafa Amine that gets the win and advances through to the Great 8.
Yeah, I mean, but there might have been something we didn't spot in that one, Ian. And of course, that happens the odd time through this course, is that the judges are watching for very critical analysis. They're looking at things that we aren't looking at. We're looking at it from an entertainment point of view. They're looking at it from a critical point of view. They are very much they might have spotted a couple of things we didn't spot there, and I'm wondering. Just look from my perspective that Amine dropped 2 wheels, but maybe that was forced by Holster. I'm not sure. Maybe something we missed. But then we move on to our next battle. It will be Jakobsen against Tazemski, Poland against Sweden. Another RX-7 from Jakobsen, and Tazemski, he looked very strong in his top 32 battle. Let's see what happens.
He certainly did. Tazemski got a little bit of luck there against Ravina. Got himself into the top 16. Look at this, though. Jakobsen on the back bumper, the S14 and the Drift Patriot, as they get wheel to wheel and tussle in outside zone 2. Jakobsen backs off and lets Tazemski transition, but he has to straighten up as he fires down into the outside zone. They get back into the roundabout they go. Jakobsen once again jumps up onto the side of the S14 of Tazemski.
Yeah, it looked to me like Jakobsen a little too aggressive in the transition. That looked like his fault to me, as a layman's eye. He was trying to he initiates really in the middle of the course as well there on the first corner. Didn't follow the lead car. Has a bit of contact with the lead car, but this is where the judges will be looking at. Watch this. Transitions early, hits the back end of Tazemski, and Tazemski has to make big moves to try and stay on course and not go in the wall. So I think that's going to be Jakobsen's mistake as they go through the last section. It's pretty much neat and tidy from both guys, but I feel if I've learned anything from this aircraft carrier, the war games we're seeing out there on track, Ian, that it looks to me like Tazemski would have been okay there and Jakobsen making the bigger mistake.
Yep, very well spotted there, Dave. I didn't see that little bit of contact, but anything to upset that lead car. Oh, looks like we do have a false start potentially. Yep, so it's going to be a false start. Okay, so we're going to get a restart from these guys as they make their way back. It'll be Jakobsen to lead out Tazemski in the second half of the run of this top 16 battle. So, wait for the lights to light up. As soon as they extinguish, it's time to go. Jakobsen to lead, Tazemski to give chase. Out on the chicane they come. Nice and clean run this time. Tazemski looking for the side of that Astra RX-7. As Jakobsen gets into it in the outside zone, Tazemski gives him the room to manoeuvre and gets himself settled now, but doesn't have the clean proximity. But does he know he's already got 1 foot in the Great 8? Along the wall they go. Tazemski on the foot brake, just keeping that car balanced behind Jakobsen. Into the roundabout, Jakobsen absolutely dialed as Tazemski keeps his distance, keeps himself safe, and they finish up the run.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to still come back to that big mistake from Jakobsen with a bit of contact on the first run. Tazemski, he's very good at managing this aggression, the chase positioning, isn't he? Like, he knows he's done enough from a mistake on the first run to just stay in the fight. He's done it again. He's a really clever driver. I actually really like that. He's not overly committing, and he goes through to the top 8. Well deserved, but not the most perfect of chase runs, but he's doing enough in each battle to sort of weigh up his opponent. And I sort of, in some battles, Ian, it's like the driver themselves is knocking themselves out. He is certainly weighing up his opponent and only giving them as much as he thinks they need to beat the battle. So that's very clever driving. We move on to our next set of battles, and my guy Alex Element, I've been watching him right throughout. I think he's another contender, but he's got a very tough job in his hand now against Alves.
Yeah, he certainly has, Dave, and we wait for those to get to the line. And yeah, I think managing that aggression, Tazemski is incredibly good at knowing when he doesn't have to push. He just gives it enough to win the battle when he's been involved in a little bit of contact, and then that's the job done. Chase position is Element. Victor Alves in the lead from Brazil in that S15. So lights that go out, and Alves will lead out Element for a spot in the Great 8. Look at this, side by side, down, oh, on the bumper. Look at that in that first outside zone. Incredible initiation from both those guys. But Element absolutely glued to Alves through the centre of the circuit. Left foot brakes transitions earlier than Alves. Gets the job done onto the wall. Now they look for the transition once again into the outside zone. Victor Alves absolutely perfect. Element just slacks off a little bit of proximity there as they finish up the run.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Element looks so comfortable in that chase position, and he's qualified lower, which is interesting because he's always usually up there, but in the battles is where he really comes alive. And I have to say, Alves does a good job in that lead position. He's looking very, very comfortable on this track. The more laps these guys get in, the more comfortable they're getting, the more sort of those small errors aren't creeping in. It's a very even fight between both of these guys. Would like to see Element a little bit closer in the roundabout, but not much to take away, but two very solid runs there.
Yeah, very, very solid. Yeah, just like he gave up a little bit of a proximity there towards the end of the run just to kind of stay safe, maybe. Was that a game plan from Alexander Element there?
Well, he's going to have to, his game plan now has to be putting on a perfect lead run as Alves now can, turn the screw here and go a little bit closer and take the win on this battle. I don't think Alves has any choice but to go in as hot as he can, and he's exactly doing that at the moment as they go to that first wall. Oh, Element hits the wall, it looks to me. Did that upset Alves in the chase position? It happened so quickly, it's hard to say. But did Element make contact with the wall? It looked to me like he did and bounced back into Alves. Could that be the defining factor of this battle? Can they stay clean across the last couple of turns? It looks like they can, and it's going to come back to a replay of that first corner. And it looked to me like Element may have stayed a little too late in it, tagged the wall, bounced back into Alves, and then that would be Element's fault. But I want to see that one again.
Well, there we go. Let's take a quick look at it. Where did he stay? Did he stay too far in it? Yeah, he did, Dave. Yes, stayed too far in it. You could see him shallowing out the angle because he knew how far he'd gone into that, and that upset Victor Alves as well. Oh, could that be the chink in the armour, Dave?
And I mean, he hasn't made many errors, Alex Element, but to me, it is a big error. He causes the upset to Alves. It's thrown Alves off his groove, and Alves went for it, and he was close enough in proximity for it to affect him, so he's in the right place. Will the judges see it that way? Was there more mistakes across the two runs? Nothing stands out massively to me, so I'm not sure. And there you have it. Victor Alves gets the win. The Brazilian goes through to the top 8, and Alexander Element goes out. And for me, that is incredibly interesting to see some of these big names, the favourites, making unforced errors we haven't, witnessed them do at any point before. It's moving on to our last two battles of the top 16, and our last battle of the top 16. Last spot in the top 8 up for grabs. It's going to be Warren against Tatterson. You've been keeping an eye on Tatterson. We know Warren is he's a groover, he's a battler. He gets through all these battles. You kind of count him out. He keeps staying in them. He ups his game every run. Let's see what happens here.
Well, let's see what happens. Tatterson fires in that big S15, but look at Warren, and we know Warren can put it on when it really needs to happen. Warren looks for the side of Reece Tatterson's S15 and finds it. Looks for the transition now, perfectly timed as Tatterson gets the wing over the wall. An incredible job there from Reece Tatterson in the lead position. Good transition back, but look at Warren all over him like he's glued to him right now. They're stuck together as they come across the line. Warren brings the fire.
Yeah, I think that's you know, that's going to be really, really tough to beat in Tatterson. His aggression, but also he takes risks in the lead position that a lot of drivers aren't taking out there, Ian. Especially as you mentioned, this next wall run, he goes very, very deep from the start, very confident. Harnan does a great job in the chase position, doesn't make any real errors. He's got a great lead run to chase, but does he give the wow factor? Does he do something that really, you know, impresses the judges? I would say he's leaving a little bit on the table there for Tatterson in his lead chase run to impress the judges.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dave. I think he's just left 10% out there, and I think Tatterson knows to win this event, he's going to take it. Look at that creeping across the line. Tatterson's eager to get this one done and move into that grade 8. Tatterson on the back bumper already as Warren fires in at that F22 BMW. Look at Tatterson edging closer and closer, almost tags the front wheel as Reece Tatterson now looks to make the transition. Wow, incredible stuff from Tatterson as they go bumper to wall. Both guys on the wall, 90 degrees. Big transition back into the roundabout as Reece Tatterson pushes once again up onto the door of Warren's F22 BMW.
Wow, well, if Tatterson hasn't taken the win there, Ian, I think I'm going to question everything I know about drifting, because that was absolutely sensational. You know, there was a little bit left on the table by Warren, and we mentioned it. Tatterson left nothing for granted there. He went absolutely 110%, and he's been rewarded for it. It can easily go wrong. We saw it with Alexander Element, but for Tatterson it works out, and he moves on to the final 8. And is the 8 drivers remaining out of 96 drivers, 8 are left for the big prize on the table, a chance to drive Peter Wiensek's Worthouse S15, and 8 very, very, very worthy guys. We've got one last commercial break we're going to now, and after that, 8 drivers become one overall champion. You don't want to go anywhere. We're back soon with the final of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. See you in a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ian, we're getting there. It's the top 8. We have been through 4 rounds, 96 drivers. We are down to 8 finalists. Only one can win the biggest prize in the history of virtual drifting, up for grabs. A drive of Peter Wiensek's 900 horsepower Worthouse S15. All these guys, they're all in an aircraft carrier in the virtual world. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It's the virtual world. But what is making sense is how good the driving ability and skill of these drivers are. All their setups so familiar to real drifters, so similar to real drifting, and the real laws of physics apply. The only thing that doesn't apply for a lot of these guys is being at this level of competition with this many eyes on is causing some mistakes.
It certainly is, Dave, and it's unnerving. Some of these guys have never been under the spotlight like most of our professional Drift Masters European Championship drivers. And, you know, look, if you're going to be in the ring, if you want to jump into the ring and box with all these other boxers, you need to be able to keep your composure and let the driving do the talking. And we've got some seriously good guys in the Grade 8. Competition is eating up, Dave, and yeah, what a prize to win. But it's not the only prize that's been available for this championship, Dave, because all in games have been giving away Xboxes. And who was tonight's winner?
I'm actually going to bring up a point here that they've been giving away Xboxes left and right, but not to me and you.
Yeah, I know. See, I was going to raise this, Dave, in a committee meeting, but I thought is it pub? We shouldn't do it publicly.
Nobody will listen.
Nobody will listen to us.
Yeah, they have to listen to you in this certainly, but outside of this, we don't listen. So Dominic Dennehy won it this time around. He did our social media competition on the Drift Masters European Championship page. Remember, guys, this is the warm-up for the 2021 Drift Masters European Championship. More information coming very soon as we count down. It's been a long old while since we've had European drifting at the top level. The Premier League of European drifting returns at the end of May in Austria. Best in the business. 65 drivers lining up to take home that crown, and it will be a new crown this year. Let's see who wins it. But you know what? I'm actually anxious to see who's going to win this championship, because I am watching these guys for the last couple of weeks, and I cannot pick a favourite out of this top 8 because Pileski, he goes up against Fulham. Pileski's top qualifier. Sevriak won a round, looks amazing, goes up against Ramazzotti, but he looks like he can never be beaten. Tazemski and Amine, that's right down the middle for me. And Alves against Tatterson. Tatterson looking very strong, but Alves took out a big name in Alex Element, so it's all to play for.
It certainly is, Dave, and some heavy hitters now in this Great 8. And well, look, no messing around. Let's get this underway. Pileski to take on Fulham. Fulham from the USA. He says he's ready to jump on a plane and dominate that S15. Well, he's got to go through Pileski first for the Bulgarian driver to take him down. This one could go either way for me.
Bulgaria or Belarus? I'm not sure.
Oh, Belarus. Sorry, my mistake there.
It's okay, Ian. You're not. You're from England. You guys are on your Brexit now. You don't care about anything else in the world. It's okay. So Belarus, Pileski looking very, very strong. Goes up against Fulham in that Corvette. Here comes an interesting battle as they come off the line. Pileski rocking that old school D-Max livery from. Oh, what a bit of a wobble on entry from Pileski. He hadn't put a foot wrong all day, and all of a sudden he makes a wobble. And Fulham looking like the more consistent driver, who's made a couple of errors in the last couple of battles. And Fulham coming in very hot, but he may be too hot. He got away with it. I thought that was going to be a crash. And he didn't get away with it just as good on the second, but they stay in it. You can never, tell you what, you can't take it away from Fulham. He's definitely trying his hardest to impress the judges. He got away with it the whole way through the course. Just a little touch coming into the roundabout. From my perspective, though, Pileski, look at this, initiates. Looks like he put a little bit too much grip in the car. It didn't flow out the way he wanted it to. That was a bit of an error. From there, it's business as usual for Pileski, but Fulham doing a great job. Now, this is where it's absolutely, throw your gun in the ring and see what happens. Throws it in, manages to keep with him, and I think he gets a little overconfident here, and it just makes that touch, but it doesn't do enough to upset Pileski. So the judges will take it as an error, but not a massive one. And I'm not sure how the judges will call that first run, but it's definitely in the balance. Both guys very much still in this.
Yeah, they certainly are, Dave, and that was a close one. Craig Fulham, for me, looks like he's turned it up a notch here. He knows that Pileski's the man to beat, first place qualifier in the finale. Well, what can Fulham do right now? He's leading, he's in the lead position. Pileski looking to take down Fulham. Nice initiation from both guys. Pileski starting to bring the heat, matches the angle. Look at the proximity from Pileski right now as they come down through the middle of the circuit into that outside wall run. Oh, absolutely pinpoint perfect from Craig Fulham as he transitions now into the roundabout. Pileski, though, is glued to the side of that Corvette as Pileski is hungry like a dog with a bone. Pileski and Fulham.
Oh, I don't know, Ian. It's getting tough now because these guys are pushing incredibly hard. It's a great entry from Fulham. Like, he absolutely nails that first half of the course. Pileski, though, his chase run here is, would I say, more consistent? Definitely more consistent proximity. Not as many huge, crazy dives. On the transition, doesn't make the same error Fulham does. I think Pileski might have fought his way back into this one over that chase run. Fulham very strong too. We're going to be really, really splitting hairs now with decisions from this point on.
Yeah, we certainly are. Look at this. 1 vote, 2 votes, 3 votes, unanimous. Pileski gets the win and advances through to the final 4. Dave, things are heating up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to come down to that bit of contact from Fulham going into the roundabout. It's the only major error from both runs, and I think at this stage any error is going to get you knocked out of the competition. Now, this guy Sevriak, he's a bit of a shark in the water. He goes up against Ramazzotti. I always think Ramazzotti is like, he's like that boxer that just, you can keep punching him in the face, but he won't go down. Because every single time we see him out there, he fights his way back into it. But he's got the biggest fight of his life here against the Ukrainian Sevriak, who has, in my opinion, almost made it look easy at this point. Someone's got a musical horn in there as well. I feel like it's going to be Ramazzotti. But anyway, I think Sevriak is a business as usual guy. But here we go. Sevriak starts in the chase position, expected to be fireworks from the off here.
Yeah, look at this as Ramazzotti now fires down. Sun glistening. Oh, and you know what? I was just looking and thinking he looks like he's way too deep into that first outside zone. Looks like the line was completely wrong. Sevriak did the right thing, held out there. And now they start to get back into it. Sevriak looks for the side of Ramazzotti's S15. And Ramazzotti, like you say, Dave, will be kicking himself.
Yeah, I think he tried to up at a level. He knew Severiak was very strong, and he went for something a little different. He went a little bit late. Watch the clip one. He's very late in there, very fast. There was no way getting out of it. He makes a big error, goes in the wall, and it's not something we've seen from Ramazzotti up to this point. So it goes to show maybe the level of competition and the stage he's at in the competition, just showing the nerves a little bit there, going a little too hard. Severiak, I don't know, he has this almost Terminator quality to me now, that he just stands back and lets the other guy make the mistake and just powers through. He is incredibly strong, and now he's in the lead position. All Severiak has to do here is just make it past the course and get into the top 4, and he's one of the final 4 finalists in this championship.
Oh, here we go. Lights light up. As soon as they extinguish, it's time to go. Severiak to lead, Ramazzotti to give chase. Ramazzotti just signed his own death certificate there as they come flying down into it. Look at this. Oh, Ramazzotti throws everything he's got. It almost a backwards entry into the door of Severiak, as Severiak keeps his cool and just looks to make a clean pass of the circuit. Ramazzotti looking to just make a last-ditched attempt to try and find himself in that final 4, but there is nothing he can do in that chase position to try and overturn the mistake in the first half of the battle.
You know what's funny? The pace of each car doesn't seem to really come into this course at all, because there's so many areas to gather speed. But Ramazzotti threw everything into this first corner. I think he's almost out of control at that point, but he did his best, but it's not enough on today's occasion, and Severiak goes through to meet Pileski. What a top 4 battle that's going to be between two guys who have really been, in my opinion, the strongest on that side. I mean, I put the little asterisk beside them in the top 32, Ian, and here we are. Pileski and Severiak on that side of the bracket looking unbeatable. Well, one of them will be beaten, because we have to find a winner. We move on to another big one. It's going to be Tazemski against Anime. Tazemski, he's been sort of cool, calm and collected, so he's just doing enough to beat everyone, but not really coming out of his shell that much. Amine is more wild and unpredictable, but he gets the job done. So let's see what happens here. Two very different styles.
Here we go, down they come. Amine in that R35 fires in. Tazemski door to door. Now opens up a little bit of room for Amine to get nice and close onto that front clipping point. Nice transition onto the wall they go. Wow, look at that, perfectly performed by Mustafa in the lead position. They get into the roundabout. Tazemski keeps his cool, looks to jump onto the side of that big R35 one final time.
I think that run summed up their two driving personalities, Ian, because you've got the big angle and the big wash from the GTR as he goes crazy through that first corner, and you got that calculated approach from Tazemski, who just stays as close as he can without making it too risky for himself. That's an impressive move there from Amine. Stays right out to the edge of the wall, maybe a little too wide, but at this point in time, where are you going to take the fault from either driver here? It looked to me picture perfect from both. Of course, Tazemski could be a little closer, but then he could be making errors, and he wasn't making any there.
Yeah, very, very tough call there. We switch flip him around. Amine now to chase down Tazemski. Tazemski been one of those guys, understated, come out of nowhere, kind of just filtered his way through into this Grade A. A very nice lead line though down as Tazemski holds his own alongside Amine as they come through the centre of the circuit. Oh, very nice transition. Oh, but he gets it wrong. Mustafa absolutely makes a big mistake there. Last dive up onto the door. He goes into the roundabout now. Mustafa loses a little bit of ground, makes a last ditch dive at Tazemski's S14.
Oh, what do you think, Ian? I find it tough to find winners in some of these battles, because
I think it's Tazemski's.
I think Tazemski in the lead position there. Again, no errors. Like, if you look at his chase and his lead run, he made not one error in either. Amine comes in, he's got the aggression, but then when he makes those moves, it's a bit messy, isn't it? Like, every time he comes out of it, he's got to slow up or he's got to stall. It's not fluid. Whereas Tazemski is like, just, you know what he's like? He's like, you know, when you're playing like a Gran Turismo and then there's like the computer AI car is just doing the track perfectly.
Yeah,
that's what he looks like. He's that perfect. So yeah, they do a couple of burnouts, guys. Watch the surface here. It's obviously got hangers below it. You don't end up down there. But I think, I mean, Amine has all the show. Tazemski's got all the consistency, and it depends on which way the judges want to go.
Wow! So once again,
they go for the show.
Oh no!
We actually have you know what? That was a miscall. It is actually Tazemski going through. We were right, Ian, for once.
We were right. And the chat goes mad.
Yeah. So that was a mistake on the part of our graphics system. And you know what? It's an inanimate object, so we can't really blame it. But to me, that's a fair call. So we're going to have Tazemski moving into the top 4. So we've got 3 of our top 4 drivers. You know what we'd like to find now, Ian? Our last top 4.
Our last top 4, yeah.
Will it be Alves or will it be Tatterson? 2 guys who wowed us all the way through this competition. One of them's going home, one of them's going to the finals. Here we go.
Here we go, Dave. As Tatterson fires his way down that Pro Drift S15, Victor Alves tries to mimic the angle and speed. Look at this. Shallows up the angle, though. Gets that front wheel onto the door. Incredible proximity from Alves. Oh, wow. Did he pull that off? It looked like he was going to completely write them both off. As Tatterson throws big angle up onto the wall, fires into the roundabout. Alves, though, with him, no messing around. Both guys wheel to wheel across the line.
Incredible lead and chase there from both of these guys. And you know what? How much further can Tatterson go than what Alves is? Alves, though, he does a little bit of calculating on that first corner. He sort of bows out of the angle a little bit just to make sure that he doesn't make a mistake, and I quite like that. And then at this point, the transitions, I'm pretty sure he just got away with that. I don't think that was a plan to be that close. I think he got away with it, but it worked out really well. Alves putting the heat on Tatterson here. He wants that spot in the top 4. And right now he's looking like he deserves it. Tatterson doing nothing wrong in that lead, but Tatterson's going to have to go up a notch. He's probably going to go to an uncomfortably comfortable area where he's got to risk a little bit more than he'd like now because Alves has laid down the gauntlet.
Yeah, Reece Tatterson's going to have to go to a place he's never been to before, Dave, to try and beat Victor Alves right now. Look at this, he certainly starts to go there as Tatterson gets onto the back bumper of the S15, but Alves tries to throw him off, put a big angle into it, but it doesn't work. He completely drops out of the outside zone, and it opens up the door for Tatterson now on the transition. They both get into it, bumpers through the wall, wheel to wheel, as they go onto the transition into the roundabout. Tatterson looks for the opening, and there it is, nudging, edging himself closer and closer to Alves.
Oh, I'm going to have to lean with Tatterson there. I think that initiation from Alves was, he tried to throw Tatterson off at the big angle. Watch this, 90 degrees.
Wow.
But he's in the wrong place of the track. As you said, completely misses the second zone. And if you're the lead driver on that first corner, you got to be getting out as wide as possible. In fact, you need to be even wider before the second zone. So for that mistake, I think the judges will probably lean towards Tatterson here. And Tatterson does a good job of dealing with that line, which isn't perfect for him to chase. He's looking strong. Looking like definitely a contender here, and as much as I love Alves and his driving style, I actually love the flamboyance of a 90-degree entry. It's not how the judges wanted it to be, and Tatterson moves on to the final 4. That means we have 4 drivers left, Ian. 4 guys left, 1 top step. Here we go.
Yeah, this is it, Dave. The winners now, the next 2 winners get themselves into the final. No messing around. Things are heating up, Dave, and somebody is getting closer and closer to stepping a foot into a 900 horsepower S15.
Yeah, I mean, look at the 2 battles we have here. We've got Pileski against Serviak. That I could not call. Those 2 guys look like robotic in their abilities. They're that good. Look at Tazemski against Tatterson. Super steady, no mistakes, versus a bit wild in Tatterson sometimes, but he's got all the flamboyance. 2 very clashing styles. These, to me, are probably the top 4 guys if you look at it across all of the rounds. Probably the 4 that impressed us the most, I would say. Probably not far off that. And the guys you expected to be up and in the mix. But who will win out of these 4? That's a very tough thing to say. I had my favourites in the top 32. Now I would give them each a 25% chance at this point of winning it. Tazemski I've probably counted out more often than not. But he has got a very chess-like approach to drifting where he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't... Almost like James Dean in the real world, you know, like does enough just to stay to it one more time, and then if he needs to push, he pushes, but he doesn't do anything silly. You see Alves going for those big 90-degree things. You're not going to see Tazemski do that. So he could be a good match for Tatterson, and then between Pileski and Serviak, I have no idea. Those guys have literally been unbeatable since we first heard their names or saw them pop up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm completely agree, Dave. I'm not sure what way this is going to go. Some very, very good drivers. Tazemski, for me, though, is the kind of guy that's just snuck in. He's kind of just snuck his way through, been a very, very consistent driver. Is that the key? Is the consistency and the coolness, keeping you cool? Is that the key?
We're about to find out as they come off the lines for a spot in the final of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. 96 drivers down to 4. They're about to be down to 3, and it's about to be a false start.
I was just going to say, hold on a minute. There is no way that Tazemski got caught sleeping off the line there.
It would be pretty much the wrong time to go to sleep.
Yeah, of all the time.
You get through all of this, and then you fell asleep on the line at that point. So I think that, you know, we've obviously got our marshals, our virtual marshals, which are nice because they're probably somewhere, you know, air conditioned or heated, which usually they're not. But they are keeping an eye on that start line, and then Tatterson will be in the lead position. Tazemski in the chase. Tazemski's going to have to try and just turn the dial a little bit over 9 or 10 or 11 at this point to stay in this competition. We haven't watched him at his best just yet, but is the best save for the end. Still, Tatterson's got a lot of pace there, Ian.
Wow, we certainly have. But look at Tazemski, absolutely dialed on that initiation, planned it perfectly. The arc throw from the outside zone put him on the door straight away. And look at this! Oh wow! Tazemski fires in. He's turning up to 12 right now, Dave. No messing around. Tazemski's hungry for it as he just throws everything that he's got, including the kitchen sink, at the side of Tatterson's S15.
Wow, he's a bit of a one-up guy, isn't he? Like every time, you know. He's the type of guy that if you were going to Tenerife, he'd go to 11 Tenerife. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. He's just holding it back. I didn't think he had this in him, but this transition, absolutely incredible. Look at that, and does he make contact? Oh, it's hard to tell.
He makes contact with the wheel and the wall at the same time. Yeah,
the Tatterson kind of deals with it because he's quite good, Tatterson, at dealing with contact and impact. So what I do love is that Tazemski's leaving nothing to the imagination. He's gone out there to try and win this and get to the final. Tatterson now has to come and bring the heat. There's no way he can back off here.
No way. Tatterson has to go to a place, like we say, Dave, that he's never been, and he might feel uncomfortable doing. But right now, he's going to have to do it. They come off the line, tyres smoked as Tatterson gets onto the back bumper, dives onto the wall. Oh, contact from Tatterson, chink in the armour. Oh, Tazemski's in the wall.
Yeah, I think that's Tatterson's fault, Ian.
Yeah.
I think Tatterson's gone in too hot, and I was thinking that, you know, Tazemski might get away with getting around that first corner, but it looked to me like the contact from Tatterson pushed him down the circuit a little bit too much, cut that arc off for him and put him in the wall. That, to me, was my initial reaction.
Well, let's take a look back at the replay, Dave, as Tazemski fires in. Tatterson's into it. Yeah, just contact, and it looks like the car just caught understeer and headed straight for the wall.
We watched it a couple of times in the real world, Ian. You know, you get a tap on when, especially on the initiation, everything can go wrong. You know, the lead car, you know, he's setting that up for a very, very stable, you know, first corner. Any sort of big hit like that and you're pushed offline, the judges will have a good look at this from start to finish. But to me, it looked like, you know, Tazemski got away with a bit of contact because Tatterson could stay in it. But we now know that whatever happened on that first corner is going to be decided by that because it wasn't a complete run.
So let's wait to find out what happens.
Judges having a good deliberation on this one. I mean, they're going to have two trains of thought here, possibly. One is Tazemski slowing unnecessarily and causing the contact, or it's going to be Tatterson making too much contact. Now they're going to go back and I think have a look at this contact from the first run to see how severe that was. Now, as we came out of this middle section of the course and transition back, Tazemski's about to make contact here, but how severe was it? He hits the front wheel. It's only the front wheel I think he hits, and Tatterson's already on lock. Now, to be fair, Tatterson could have made a bit more of a meal of that, but he got away with it and they actually finished the course. Switch it on to the second run, I think the contact is much more severe from Tatterson. I don't think Tazemski could actually get out of it.
Tough one for the judges, Dave.
And it's at a higher speed, remember, on that first corner. And that's, you know, it's higher speed. It's just a theory of relativity, Ian, you know. Every action has an equal reaction. So if you're coming in slow, you're going to, you know, it's not going to be as severe. Come in very fast, it's going to have a bigger impact. And we had a big impact with the wall at the end of the first corner. So let's see which way the judges go. I think you could see a surprise either way here, but I know that's the two trains of thought they're going to be thinking now. And someone's going to the final. And it's going to be Rhys Tatterson going to the final, which would mean that the judges have looked at Tazemski as slowing unnecessarily on that first corner.
Wow.
There you go, Ian. That's as much drama as you can imagine from a virtual championship. And the great thing is they have every viewpoint to look at it from because they can just spin the camera around. So they're having a quick look at that. I can see it going either way. To me, it looked like Tatterson came in too hot, but then I'm not sure what way the judges looked at how much slowing on the handbrake you can do on that first clip.
Yeah.
So maybe it was excessive. He could have sat on that handbrake a little bit too long.
Too long,
I'm not saying it's a brake check, but it's the same effect. You know, you're going to slow down a little bit too dramatically. Chase car is diving in, it makes contact, and the judges are had a good look at it, did a good long look at it, and they obviously have, you know, much bigger brains than us, Ian, to process all of that information. And so we're having a little bit of a debate at the moment, but it looks to me like we might have a connection issue with one of the drivers, because I can see 3 cars on the track there and I don't see 4, so we're waiting for, but it looks to me like Sevriak would be the driver missing, if I'm not mistaken, and he would be in the other semi-final.
Yes.
So at the moment we now know that Rhys Tatterson is into the final. We know that Tazemski, he is going to be in the 3rd and 4th place playoff, and it's going to be Pileski and Sevriak for the other spot in the final. Either way, we're in for a heavy... So we're going to take a small break before we get all these boys back on the track. We're having some connection issues, but we won't have too long to wait. A few moments, a couple of words from our partners, and then guess what? We're deciding this whole championship. Someone's going to win it. Someone's going to be the champion. You don't want to miss it. We're back soon. Well, we're down to our final couple of drivers, and Ian, it has been a sensational event. We're on an aircraft carrier. It's been wild. We've been crashing, we've been spinning, we've had some people have technical difficulty, we've had some hits, we've had some controversial decisions, we've had everything you could want and more from the final of the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. But what we've got now is a couple of more battles left. In fact, we've got 3 more battles left, because we have got Pileski going up against Sevriak for a spot in the final. One of those guys will go up against Rhys Tatterson, and then whoever loses that battle will go up against Tazemski in the 3rd and 4th place playoff. So here we go. This is the battle I've been waiting to see very, very closely in. 2 guys that look like they have no weak points. Well, one of them's going to win and one of them's going to lose. Who's going to show weakness first? Here we go for a spot in the final. It is going to be Pileski to lead in Sevriak. Pileski throws into that first corner. Sevriak on the front brake, getting nice and close. Perfect lead run and chase run from both of these drivers right now. This is as good as it gets for the Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Beautiful transition from Sevriak. Oh, and a bit of a contact with the wall from Pileski. It's the first mistake he's made in a very long time, and it's a chink in the armor for Pileski as he tags the wall. Sevriak does amazingly well to deal with it and push them across the line. I think that's going to be an advantage to Sevriak, and Pileski hitting the wall.
Yeah, incredible. I just, I shook my head in disbelief at the moment there. Apart from that little wander there from Sevriak in that first outside zone, completely misses it. He dials onto the door of Pileski and stays with him the whole way round. This is where Pileski, though, just overthinks it a little bit too much. He stays in the outside zone for too long. Very nice job, though, getting himself back into it. Sevriak does an incredible job of dealing with that situation and keeping that proximity. Very, very tough at this point in the game. So much at stake.
Sevriak very much in the driving seat. I mean, I know every driver's in the driving seat, of course, but well, technically in this championship, no one's in the driving seat. So
no one.
But Sevriak is in the lead position. He's out in front. It's all up to him now. If he makes no errors here, he's going to take this. Or can Pileski pull something incredible out of the bag?
Well, look at Pileski though. He's not going to mess around, Dave. He's hungry. He knows he made a mistake. He needs to try and claim it back as he mimics the angle and the proximity in that first half of the run. Incredible transition. Oh, but he gets into it again. Messes up Pileski. Does it again. Gets himself into the wall. He's angry. He's furious. Look at the way he's driving now, making jabs at Sevriak. And Sevriak keeps his cool. And the consistency plays a big key.
It does, and Sevriak just not to put a finer point on it, just dominated again. He came through, no mistake in the lead, no mistake in the chase. Pileski hits the same wall in both runs, lead and chase. He doesn't need to be at that wide in the chase position. He's kind of supposed to be on the inside, comes in with a little bit too much heat, and it looks to me like this is going to be an easy decision for the judges. And the Ukrainian Sevriak goes to the final for a massive finale with Tatterson, and that is probably the two guys we've been watching right from the start of this competition and saying they're the two, let's just say, the ones that look like there's very little, mistakes in them. But I think at the moment, Sevriak, has he made a mistake since we've actually watched his first qualifying run? I don't think so.
I don't think so, Dave. I think he's been that consistent the whole time. But for me, Pileski, to see him make those mistakes, just incredible. Especially he's been so good the whole championship.
And a man who doesn't make too many mistakes is going to go up against him next, which is Tazemski. And Tazemski, this is for third step on the podium. This is for third step in the championship. Remember, this is all down to this. It's not, like a regular season where, the best of your 5 rounds. These guys all started from, even Steven tonight. And if you finish third, it's a great claim. I came third in the first ever Drift Masters Virtual Championship against 96 competitors. It's not a bad claim, Ian.
It certainly isn't, Dave. And you know what a way to make your claim as a virtual drifter of how good you are. Tazemski now to take on Pileski for the third step. Prize money at stake as well, I do believe, here tonight, Dave.
Absolutely, and here we go. It's off the line for third step on the podium. It is going to be Pileski in the lead position, Tazemski in the chase. Two guys who have been very consistent all day, but look at this. Oh, Tazemski just gets right into the pocket there. Absolutely perfect. And this is perfect for both drivers so far. Now, this is where Pileski's been making mistakes across the course. Can he get away with it this time? Much better this time. It almost over-rotates the car, but actually gets it perfect where the judges want. It's an amazing lead run from Pileski, as Tazemski handles it absolutely beautifully. They're door-to-door across the line. No mistakes from either driver, and big pressure being put on Tazemski now from Pileski with a lead run. That looks like why he qualified first place.
Yeah, it looks like, the pressure's off for Pileski now, and he knows all he has to do is just replicate what he was doing all day, and it looks like he's found that form again. And Pileski absolutely flying. Just choked himself up a little bit, so coming out of that outside zone before he transitioned into the roundabout. But apart from that, Pileski did an incredible job, and Tazemski in that chase was just flawless.
Yeah, look at it from another perspective. The pressure is off. These guys know they haven't won the overall prize, the big prize. So there's a bit of relief there, and they're having some fun in this third and fourth place playoff. And it shows that they're much more back to their natural driving style of very little errors, minimal mistakes. And here we go, last run from these two guys in the championship as Tazemski throws it. And nearly a little bit of a clip from Pileski as they come through the first corner. And again, this time Tazemski does get around the first corner, but it wasn't helped by the little bit of contact. And the judges will be watching that from Tazemski, saying, and he hits the wall again. A mistake from Tazemski as he goes a little bit too wide there. And is this falling into Pileski's hand? Will Pileski take third step on the podium? It looks very likely.
Wow, very, very good battle. Very, very close from both these guys. Take a look back at the replay. Incredible initiation. Very, very good. But look at that. A little bit too much angle carried there from Pileski. Meant some contact made before getting into that second outside zone. Tazemski deals with it very, very well. Look at the dive. But look at this. Tazemski gets himself into the wall. This could go either way, Dave.
But it goes to Pileski. He takes third step in the podium, third in the championship. I would agree. I think Tazemski with a little bit too much slowing on that first corner, similar to his top 4 battle. And from that perspective, for me, it is a very worthy third place for Pileski. He's earned it, Ian. I think he's earned it. I think he's a real talent when it comes to virtual drifting. He would be good not to be in the final, but it's the next best thing. And as he sits there on the aircraft carrier, he is awaiting the final, which will not be Pileski and Sevriak. It will be Tatterson and Sevriak in the final. Yeah, Tatterson and Sevriak, and there's what I don't want to pick a winner from. But again, I think there's probably more chinks in the armor with Tatterson than there is with Sevriak. I'm giving Sevriak the favourite here. I think he's made no mistakes. Tattersall has got this far by being amazing, but there has been some chinks in the armour. Tattersall's going to have to go to a place of consistency. I think he's going to have to risk it here. Severiak looks like he's on rails. This is going to be a very interesting battle. I cannot wait to see who's going to win it. It's the last battle of the championship. Who's going to take home the championship? Here we go.
Oh, and it's a false start.
No one's going to take it because we're going back to the start line.
And it's a false start.
Every time I do the big build-up, they just get a false start. This is definitely just to annoy me. But I again, it even give me more time to build it up.
You can do it some more, Dave. Build it up some more.
I can build it up even more. I'm going to put a level on top of a level right now. I think a big part of this is that, you know, I think Tattersall is the more exciting driver. I think Severiak is the all-rounder. You know, one of these guys, both of these guys would absolutely love to be behind the wheel of Peter Guy's XS15. And in the next minute, that's going to be a reality for one of these guys, and the other guy is going to always think about what could have been. So here we go, last battle of the championship. It's on an aircraft carrier. We're taking it very seriously. It is Tattersall in the lead position. Severiak in the chase into the first corner to go. Severiak pushing in very hard. Tattersall on a good line there. Takes it out wide. Tattersall almost makes contact with the wall, but he gets away with it. Severiak right where he likes to be on the door. Lovely transition from Severiak. Pushes a little bit hard. Maybe makes contact again. Tattersall now looking pretty strong in that lead position, and Severiak now starting to make a couple of errors and a couple of moves, but he's still on the door. He's still aggressive. It's definitely the most aggressive we've seen Severiak in the competition so far, and I think he needed to be that aggressive to stay with Tattersall, and I could not tell you what way the judges are going to score that one.
No, that was incredible, Dave, there, but Rhys Tattersson's lead line was flawless. Look at this, absolutely nailed outside zone 1 and 2 in that inside clip. Look at this, hangs the spoiler over the wall, chokes up a little bit, but you know, no one else has been knocked down for doing that this weekend. Gets into that outside zone, fulfills it completely. Severiak, though, all over him. Tattersall gave Severiak the opportunity to be there, and he was.
I mean, Tattersson's in an unusual position now. He can win this whole thing outright if he pushes 120%, or he can lose it. Does he just try and go consistent? Does he try and go with something special? Well, here we go. It's the final run of the championship. Tattersall in the chase position. Severiak in the lead. Severiak with a nice initiation into that first corner. Tattersall not on a great line there. Had to dive across the first corner. He's going to have to start making some moves here. And he's a little bit lost on the transition. Severiak looking very fast through that section of the course. Tatterssall's got to do something here now. He's got to dive in, and he does. Up onto the wheel he goes, door to door, pushing as close as humanly possible through that last corner. Severiak, though, makes absolutely no errors on the lead and chase. Whew. We could see it one more time here. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I was just thinking that, Dave, but I don't know. The mistakes here from Tattersall, were they too much? Almost made contact, had to get out of it, shallow off the angle. Then he gets himself into it, composes, thinks about the situation, makes a lovely dive, but just about keeps a wheel in the outside zone. Now finds the proximity, jumps up onto the side of Severiak's S14 and glued with him across the line. I don't know. I think Severiak had the cleaner battle. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, that was a strange first corner from Tattersall. He sort of dove across the track, lost a bit of angle. Is that the way the judges are going to see it? Are we going to have a winner here? Who is going to be the winner of the first ever Drift Masters Virtual Championship? Remember, one of these guys is going to be the big prize. Who's going to take it home? Oh, we almost thought we were going to get it, and we got teased. Which way is it going to go? Is it one more time? It's a one more time, Ian. I can see that as a fair call. I think Severiak has a couple of errors in the chase. He makes contact a few times. Tattersall makes, you know, he was in tatters through the first corner. I've been trying to hold back that pun for a couple of weeks. And he's made a couple of errors. He's made that big error. So a couple of small errors from Severiak, big error from Tattersall. Balance him out to one more time, and it's the last battle of the championship. So the judges aren't going to swing too easily one way or the other here on a whim. So let's see what happens as we take him back to the start line. As you mentioned so often, Ian, we don't have to wait 20 minutes for fuel and tyres. We're ready to get back at it again.
Yeah, we certainly are, Dave. Back on the line they go. Tattersall to lead out Severiak for the final time of this championship. Lights light up. Once they go out, it is done. Tattersall to lead, Severiak to give chase. Judges couldn't split it the first time around. This time it is all action on track. Big initiation from Tattersall. Severiak almost makes contact as Tattersall puts the back bumper to the wall, fires down through that front clipping point. But look at Severiak, bumper to bumper transition. Oh, Tattersall, incredible lead as he hangs the spoiler over the wall. Tattersall has turned it up to 13 for the final lead run of the weekend. But look at Severiak, wheel to wheel.
Wow. I was like, where are they going to go from here? Tatterson's initiation. Watch how close he is to 90 degrees here. But he actually makes up the ground. He gets to the outer zone late, but it's the second transition for me. Severiak is in an amazing spot here, doing everything out. But this, look at this. Absolutely perfect from Tatterson. Tatterson, a far stronger lead than the first time around. And a far stronger and cleaner chase too, though, Ian. I've got to balance that out with Severiak saying the chase was much better than his first set of battles. So both of them upping the game here. Now Tatterson, well, what's he do now? He's got to go closer than that. What is closer than that without a crash? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's going to have to go uncomfortably close without making contact. Well, let's find out. Here we go. Lights go out. It will be Severiak to lead out Tatterson for the final time here at the DMVC 2021. Look at Tatterson, not in it at the moment. Fires in, does the same mistake again. Shallows off the angle. Now finds the side of the S14 as they come through the centre of the circuit. Tatterson composes himself, thinks about it, makes a big dive onto the wall. Severiak plows through. Big transition into the outside zone. Here comes Tatterson though, door to door. Just backs off. Oh, Severiak makes a big wobble before the line.
What happened? What happened to Severiak? He was the easiest part of the course and he just straightened up. I have no idea. Up until that point, I had Severiak with the win because, you know, his lead is good, it's strong. Tatterson is strange on this initiation. Let's see. Oh, but we have got our decision and the winner is in. It's Tatterson. Tatterson gets the win. That mistake from Severiak in the last corner, unbelievable. It's actually cost him the entire championship. And
yeah, watch this.
It's just right here. Watch this as he comes through here. Oh, we didn't get to see it. But it looks to me like that was what happened. It looks like it is Tatterson that's going to get the win. And there you have it. Tatterson gets €1,000. Severiak gets 600. Pileski gets 300. And Tazemski gets 100. And they are your top four in the first ever Drift Masters Virtual Championship. Ian, it all came down to the last corner and the last run of the last battle. And Severiak, who hadn't made a mistake in the entirety of 2 rounds, makes a big one at the very last corner and hands it to Tatterson. And Tatterson takes the win. And Tatterson is our 2021 Drift Masters Virtual Champion.
I mean, incredible, Dave. It just goes to show you that the final corner, one small part of the circuit, and the whole weekend, the whole championship.
I really hope it wasn't some internet lag because he will throw his computer out the front window of his house right now. But it was an incredible championship, and it showed me that there's a massive future to virtual drifting. And Drift Masters came along, took what was an amateur level, you know, kind of hobbyist thing, made it into a professional sort of established thing. And I mean, look at this. We're in a studio. We're looking at Peter Viansek's car, which someone's going to drive. The prizes are real. The prize money was huge. The competition was exceptional. I had a blast over the last couple of weeks. Me and you, we may not have been sitting actually side by side, but we've been side by side through all those battles online. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been incredible fun, Dave. I've enjoyed every single moment of it. And just think, in a few months' time, Dave, we'll be side by side at the Drift Masters European Championship where all of this kicks off and Rhys Tatterson gets to drive that car.
Well, I'll put it this way to Ian. I'm not sure if he drives it at the round or he drives it in practice. I'm not sure how that works. I'm sure Peter will be on the phone to Rhys Tatterson tonight working that out. But we are going to the real thing from here. We're going to the 2021 Drift Masters European Championship. 65 drivers, 24 countries of competitors, and it's the real deal. But this, to me, has shown that the real deal is very close in the virtual world. And it's been just as exciting. We hope you guys at home have had a great time watching. I hope you have a great time watching me and Ian struggle to commentate on things like aircraft carriers and different liveries and names we can't pronounce, but we've had an absolute blast. We found ourselves a very worthy champion in Rhys Tatterson. I am completely 100% looking forward to wherever this virtual drifting world goes, because you can count me in. From Ian and myself, thank you so much for watching. Thanks to all of our partners, all of our supporters, all of our drivers, our judges, all of the guys behind the scenes on the technical team. We've had an amazing time. We'll see you next time, but for the real thing in the Drift Masters European Championship. Thank you guys, and good night.